To see how embarrassing to be this way. I'm in a reckless fever, love struck girl, I tease her. Thought I'd never be her. Quite the job done on me, sir. Been hosting parties. In my mind, I'm working overtime to have you in my world. Shit is to be a lover girl. Man, what's up with this shit? That shit start right? Hello? There we go. People think Daima is bad. Yes, yes, yes. People do think Daima is bad. People do indeed think Daima is bad. In specific, there's a guy who uploaded a video about it that we're gonna react to on this stream. Dude, fuck. It looks like this stream didn't start correctly. Hold on. Did it? Maybe? Streaming on YouTube is so fucking annoying, dude. Like, what the fuck is happening right now? Here we go. Alright. Dragon Ball JJK and One Piece fans debating female cast on Twitter right now. I mean, bro, none of them have a particularly strong female cast. JJK has Maki. Dragon Ball has Bulma. I don't know what One Piece has, but all of them do not have a particularly strong female cast at all. In fact, yeah, Maki's probably the only good female in JJK. The only other one you can even argue for is what, like Yuki. Thank you, Light. Yeah, the only one you can argue for is probably just Yuki. It's good, Cat. Yeah, I have my issues with Daima. And we'll get to that. Dude, holy fuck. My nose just like it won't be done. Fuck. How much mucus can be in one nose? Shit. What's good, champ? You know Yuzura? That's the video we're gonna watch today. Yeah. That's the video we're about to watch. He made a video about Daima. Yeah, I love Daima Super Saiyan 4. I really do. I have my own issues with Daima before I like put the video on. I have my own issues with Daima. I thought the whole Deborah and what do they even call it? Is it the evil eye? Regardless, I thought the whole evil eye like subplot was pretty fucking ass. Funny way to remove it, hitting your opponent 3 times in the back of the head. Funny way to remove it. What's good, Lee? Funny way to remove it, but not all that good in general. And I can't think of anything else. I mean, obviously, I feel like there was a ton of filler in Daima, and that's bad for Daima. That's bad for Daima. Your OBS still bugging? It doesn't seem like it. Seems like my OBS is just fine. But yeah, the filler in Daima is really bad because Daima is only 20 episodes, and I felt like a lot of the way they were extending the time of Daima was just very uninspired. Yeah, I'm not gonna change it from 720p cap. But yeah, a lot of the ways that they were extending the time of Daima was really uninspired, like and just lazy. It's just like, oh, the ship is fucked up. But the ship really stopped being an issue once Goku was able to fly. Once Goku got used to the gravity of the demon world and the atmosphere, the ship doesn't fucking matter at all. And the plane just crashes too much. Like there has to be a different way to have our heroes be stuck. Like we're in a completely new landscape, and the only way we can get our heroes stuck is, oh, the ship is fucked up again. The ship is fucked up again. Glorio as well. Um, I don't. Glorio doesn't really have a character arc at all. You know, like there's no like Glorio comes in. There's clearly more to him than meets the eye, and then at the end he changes. And it's like, buddy, I realize you went through something, but you didn't really react to anything. You know, like there's no change occurring. It just kind of happens. Goku's on the stream, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, Goku's great. Can't lie and say Goku's not great. Well, let's turn this video on. I need to. 1 second. I have to get a little copyright prevention going because Toei wants to dick ride everything I do now. Hold on. I'm not gonna block the whole screen. We'll do like we'll do like this much. That should be enough, right? Yeah, that should be enough. Oh my god. Now, this video definitely like he definitely has a negative stance on Daima. I mean, the video is just titled "Daima was awful," and I'm tired of pretending it's not. So I really just want to hear what he says. I've never heard anyone actually critique Daima, but let me see. I want to get out all my problems before I watch the video. He might even convince me of something. Um, I think turning them into kids was virtually pointless. Uh, if it was for the purpose of like weakening Goku and in the gang, that's whatever. Uh, but I feel like if that's the case, you could just make stronger people, you know? And in the end, them being a kid never really hinders them, you know? It never really hinders them for me to be like, oh, yeah, this was like a good choice. Aside from like the childish way that Goku acts, but other than that, everybody acts pretty normal, even in their kid forms. I also don't see why they didn't go to Dende. I'm sorry, why they didn't go to Namek to wish Dende back. That seems like kind of like a giant, You know why? Why didn't this happen? Diamond takes place before Battle of Gods. Yeah. That's another thing. I guess this could be patched up. It's not even necessarily Diamond's fault, but its place in the canon is really fucking weird, dude. It's really weird. Niggas, you dying? I think fucking so. Fuck. I said, bro, my nose just won't stop. Yeah, holy shit, dude.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly. I think it's time to finally face facts. Dragon Ball Daima wasn't very good. I feel like there's this mass hypnosis when it comes to Daima. It has record-breakingly low merchandise sales, and you almost never see people talk about it. But anytime you ask someone about Daima, some people will act like it was absolute peak, while the majority will generally respond, it was fine. Was it? Was it really? Daima had what was essentially the highest production budget the series had ever seen. But despite that, the majority of people can only say, it was fine? Like, what? And you know what? It wasn't fine. Daima was genuinely really bad. I can go on and on and on about all the major issues the show had. And well, I guess that's why I'm making this video, ain't it? Plot hole Wonderland. So the first thing I want to discuss is a significant number of plot holes the story creates. Starting with the initial wish. A lot of the show's major problems stem from their desire to shoehorn in the child wish. Nothing about Goma's plan makes any sense whatsoever. Oh, you don't want the Saiyans to come attack you? Better go kick the beehives and run away. Like, they don't care about you at all. How is showing up, turning them into children, then kidnapping their friend logical in any way? And turning them into kids also makes no sense. Goma essentially has eternal life due to the lifespan stealing technology, so even if he delays them attacking him, they'll eventually grow back into adults. Like, even if the child nerf...
Does he not? Okay, this critique sucks because Goma turned them into kids so they would be weaker, and then he was going to use another wish to get the evil eye and be stronger at the same time. So no, that's perfectly fine. He watched all the Buu Saga footage. He probably thought they could just teleport to him. No, not now, Leaf. But he probably thought they could just teleport to him and stop him. That's why he weakened them first. So no, I don't fuck with this. I feel like at least on Goma's part, this was probably justified. I suppose he could have wished to be stronger as well, but like I said, he kind of already planned on doing that through the evil eye.
Worked. Okay. He only bought himself like 10 years at most, which is like nothing to him. He could have at least wished for them to be children permanently. But even after that, the wish just shouldn't have worked in general. It's established multiple times in Dragon Ball Z that the Dragon Balls can't affect people stronger than their creator. From Shenron not being able to kill Vegeta, to it not being able to turn the androids back into humans, to Purunga not being able to teleport Goku back to Earth without his permission. The Dragon Balls had clear restrictions keeping them in check. But Daima just comes along and goes, no, actually, they can affect them now, because we want them to. At least GT...
Well, those are upgraded Dragon Balls.
More powerful Dragon Balls to somewhat get around this. Next, we need to discuss the results of the wish. It turns our guys into kids, and at first, they struggle to control their new bodies. However, they get over this issue in like 2 episodes. As far as I can tell,
that's exactly why turning them into kids was ass.
Goku even fights Tamagami 1. As they mentioned, Deborah was weaker than Tamagami 1, the same Deborah who was stronger than Super Saiyan 1 Goku. So when Goku needs Super Saiyan 2 to defeat the Tamagami, it really gives us the impression that the Daima Kid Wish essentially didn't nerf them at all. Well, it seems that way, but then we keep getting these little lines like Goku saying they can't beat the Kraken as they are, implying they could defeat it if they had their adult bodies. Then they go on to struggle against really basic enemies, like some large rodents, or an army of basic fodder soldiers. Like, base Goku could blow up planets during the first arc of Z, but this kind of big dog can tank his full power attack? Clearly, they do still consider the Child Wish to be nerfing our cast significantly. But let me ask you, does that even make sense? Dragon Ball has never treated the jump from being a child to becoming an adult a massive boost in power. Kid Gohan never struggled to keep up with adults just because he was a child. And we know Vegeta was already stronger than his father as a child.
This doesn't matter. Like, this right here, this is a nothing criticism. This is just talking for the sake of talking. I'm not gonna lie. Like the point is that adults are stronger than children. That's it. So if you have the same power but in a child body, you are weaker than you would be as an adult. That's it. It's not saying that children in general are weak, because these children clearly aren't weak. They're just weaker. That's all.
Was probably above 10,000. That means Kid Vegeta was already close to a Saiyan Saga adult level as a child. So this concept of being turned into a child would nerf them at all already doesn't make any sense. However, that's when we get the big moment near the end of the arc, where Vegeta's adult body is restored, and he's seemingly performing better than Kid Super Saiyan 4 Goku in his base form. Even if you disagree with base Vegeta being stronger, Super Saiyan 1 Vegeta definitely was. This implies a truly massive child nerf, to the tune of like 100 to 4,000 times weaker due to the Child Wish. But as we've discussed, none of that makes any sense, as they shouldn't be any weaker at all. Just a complete mess. Like,
yeah, this doesn't mean anything. I don't even understand how he let it, like, how he put this criticism through to the video. They're weaker as children, not just weak as children. Those are two different things. Yes, children can be strong. These are really strong children. Sasuke has curse mark 2 in the final battle. Does he win versus Naruto in part 2? I imagine he would win with all that extra power. Yeah.
What's up this badly? Well, sadly, I know exactly how.
Yeah, he probably would.
It was because the marketing team wanted to sell Super Saiyan 3 adult Vegeta toys, so they needed to let adult Vegeta fight for an episode, completely ignoring the consequences it would have on the story. Yeah, Daima prioritized selling toys over writing a coherent story. The truth is, they didn't put any thought into any of this at all. They just did what was most convenient in the moment, with no greater plan. The writers probably never had any precise amount in mind.
Wait, what was the issue with Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta? I didn't see it.
4,000 times weaker due to the Child Wish. But as we've discussed,
Naruto can't use boy release at will. One of the Biju has to do it for him. And for some reason, they just don't do it in the fight with Sasuke. But I'm not sure that boy release would counter the imp. It would make him stronger for sure, but I don't know if it'll counter the imp.
At all. Just a complete mess. Like, how did they mess up this badly? Well, sadly, I know exactly how. It was because the marketing team wanted to sell Super Saiyan 3 adult Vegeta toys, so they needed to let adult Vegeta fight for an episode, completely ignoring the consequences it would have on the story. Yeah, Daima prioritized selling toys over writing a coherent story. The truth is,
so far there's been no issues with Daima. So far.
They didn't put any thought into
that he's brought up anyway.
Any of this at all. They just did what was most convenient in the moment, with no greater plan. The writers probably never had any precise amount in mind for the child nerf, and sadly, they didn't care. They just did whatever was convenient at any given moment. There isn't even a semblance of...
That might even be true, but that doesn't matter. Like, so doing whatever in the moment is perfectly fine. You just need to it can end up good. What matters is what comes from that, not the fact that they just did that.
Consistency. Next, we go back to the third demon realm, where due to the thick gas in the
air,
air,
that is unique anyway, Otto.
Fly and need a plane. Now, I could pick apart this concept, but I won't even do that, because they never needed to fly at all, because Goku can teleport. Daima goes out of its way to
Goku can teleport to people with ki.
Confirm that Goku can still teleport in his child body. Once our gang is in the demon realm, there is zero given reason as to why Goku couldn't just...
This is the thing. I don't remember if they explained it or not, but Goku being able to teleport is whatever. The issue is Goku needs a key signature to teleport to. And these people, these people use magic, not ki, if I recall correctly. But the real problem is they have King Kai, or not King Kai, I'm sorry. They have the Supreme Kai with them. They have Shin with them. And Shin can teleport anywhere. I don't remember 95th guy. I'm not going to lie. I don't remember if he tried.
Just teleport our gang around instead of flying in a plane for literally several days. Goku needs a key signature to lock onto. Yeah, like the Tamagami, or any of the people in the village next to the Tamagami. But Demon Realm people use magic, not key. We literally see Goku sense the key of people in the Demon Realm in order to avoid an ambush. Goku has to know the person to teleport to them. This is just not true. In Dragon Ball Z, we watch Goku teleport from the other side of the universe straight to New Namek.
Wouldn't this depend on how far away the things are? I disagree, Gogeta. But wouldn't this depend on how far away the things are? Like, despite everything, Goku is still nerfed as a child.
Goku has never personally met any of these Namekians before. There is no Goku has to know them personally restriction. There is no argument here. Goku should just be able to teleport all across the Demon Realm instantly. They give no reason he couldn't. Goku could have speed ran the Tamagami in like an hour, or he could have teleported to Goma straight away and took him out long before he got the third evil eye. But okay. Let's just pretend Goku can't teleport, even though he can. The whole gas in the air preventing them from flying thing was only in the third Demon Realm. So why are we trying to fix the broken down plane in the second realm? Just fly! You don't need a plane! Nothing about these planes makes any sense. The writers just want to have planes because Toriyama designed them, and they wanted to use his designs. But they didn't
the plane thing was annoying. It just was
annoying.
Another
issue is them trying to have Piccolo say he forgot how to speak Namekian. I'm not sure everyone understands how stupid this is. People forget languages all the time. Okay, but not only did Piccolo speak Namekian, so did Kami. Despite living out his entire lifespan on Earth, Kami could still speak fluent Namekian. Additionally, it makes no sense that he would even stop speaking it. You might not remember, but Piccolo actually lived on the lookout with Dende and Popo after the Cell Saga. Both of these people also speak Namekian. It would actually make more sense to assume the three of them would speak Namekian with each other instead of...
Why is it not odd to me? It just doesn't matter.
Nail, the planet Namek native, who Piccolo has all the memories of.
There's no expectation there.
That Piccolo forgot Namekian. I can't even humor the concept. It's so bad I'm
Yes, I'll put the black box up so that Shueisha doesn't get me.
Was to justify why Neva needs to go with our group. Once again, an example of the Daima writers doing whatever they want, completely disregarding if it makes any sense in the context of Dragon Ball. Part 2. Dragon Ball. Journey through the Retcon Realm. Alright. I genuinely think the people who made Daima might hate Dragon Ball. Because for some reason, like once an episode, it tries to retcon something from the manga. It's actually comical how much it retcons stuff for no reason. First one worth mentioning is the Demon Realm itself. We learn a fair bit of stuff about the Demon Realm in the original manga. It's presented like an awful hellish place, but then a lot of the Daima Demon Realm seems like a pretty nice chill place to live. Next is how Daima treats magic in general. It's to the point that Demon Realm residents all don't even know what ki is, and only use magic. Despite that, Dabura and Babidi could both seemingly sense ki during Dragon Ball Z, and despite them collecting energy, they never make any distinction from magic and ki. Plus, the concept that no one in the Demon Realm...
I hate these types of arguments. They never make any distinction, like, oh, why didn't they mention this thing? I hate these types of arguments. They don't mention it because these people aren't using it.
...has ever discovered ki is really weird, especially with the context that all of them lived for thousands of years. Additionally, there was no indication that any of Supreme Kai's powers were magic-based. In fact, Old Kai said he could only do magic due to fusing with a witch, but Daima retroactively makes it so all of Supreme Kai's ki techniques are now magic. Daima also...
Who cares? Just because Shin can do magic doesn't mean that Old Kai could.
Daima retroactively makes it so all of Supreme Kai...
He also clearly has more powerful magic. Like he can unlock people's hidden potential and then even more.
Daima also retcons Namekians, as originally from the Demon Realm. Speaking of Demon Realm residents, Daima calls all of them Majin, but...
I don't think that's true. There's no origin of Namekians in Dragon Ball, is there? I don't remember that. If I remember correctly, all we know is like the Namekians are a thing. I don't think we ever know if they're from anywhere in specific, so I wouldn't call it a retcon.
Majin was originally only used for Majin Buu, as the term itself is a combination of
Them being demons was already alluded to in the more. Oh yeah, that's right. At least in Dragon Ball Super, yeah, it was alluded to.
Ma and Jin, being a pun on Genie, which should be pretty obvious looking at Buu's design, but Daima just calls every Demon Realm resident a Majin, when that clearly wasn't the case in Dragon Ball Z. Dabura wasn't called Majin Dabura, nor was Babidi called Majin Babidi.
They don't do that in Daima. In Daima, they don't call them Majin Goma. No, they are a Majin. It's like a human. Like it would be like calling Krillin human Krillin or Goku Saiyan Goku. They don't call them that. They just are Majin.
It was supposed to be a title exclusive to Majin Buu. Speaking of Buu, Daima retcons Buu's origin story for the third time. Originally, Bibidi
Yeah,
made him.
it did.
Then Toriyama said Buu was just a primordial being that Bibidi awakened. To finally Daima, that tells us that Merba secretly made Buu for Bibidi. Alright, let's double back. In Daima's first episode, they try to fill a mistake Super made. You see, Dragon Ball Super forgot to age up Goten and Trunks for a really long time, so they just introduced this nonsensical retcon where it's explained that Saiyans have one big growth spurt, where they go from a tiny child to an adult really fast. The problem here is we saw both Goku and Gohan, and even future Trunks grow up normally without this weird retcon. So trying to act like Saiyans grow differently only now with Goten and Trunks is just a baffling plot hole.
What? No, it's not. And this doesn't say that anyway.
They go from
Hold
a
up.
nonsensical retcon where it's explained that Saiyans have one big growth spurt.
Yeah, this doesn't say that. They stay small, then shoot up like weeds. Goku and Gohan did this. I think the only one you can maybe say didn't do this was Future Trunks, but yeah, staying small and not growing are two different things. In Goten and Trunks' case, yeah, they didn't grow, but yeah, this isn't an issue.
They go from a tiny child to an
Like Goku stays small for a while. Goku, he's still pretty small. I think at 15 in the second tournament, and then he literally sprouts up into the third tournament. And then Gohan does the same thing. Like Gohan's small for a long time, and then whenever we get to the Buu arc, he sprouts up.
adult really fast. The problem here is we saw both Goku and Gohan, and even future Trunks grow up normally without this weird retcon. So trying to act like Saiyans grow differently only now with Goten and Trunks is just a baffling plot hole. It's also really weird, because by the end of Daima,
This also isn't a plot hole. This has nothing to do with the plot whatsoever.
it seems like Super and Daima are separate continuities, so them taking the time to fill this super plot hole within Daima was extra weird. However, it does support my theory that the Daima writers weren't sure.
Wait, they don't even say that that's in Superhero. Am I tripping? Yeah, he just showed it. Oh, let me listen to this again.
A really long time. So they just introduced this nonsensical forgot to age. In Daima's first episode, they try to fill a mistake Super made. You see, Dragon Ball Super forgot to age up Goten and Trunks for a really long time, so they just introduced this nonsensical retcon where it's explained that Saiyans have one big growth spurt, where they go from a tiny child to an adult really fast.
Yeah, that's in Superhero.
We saw both Goku and Gohan, and even future Trunks grow up normally without this weird retcon. So trying to act like Saiyans grow differently only now with Goten and...
They say it in both Daima and Super. I know, but I'm saying he says that Daima does it. Daima doesn't do that. Superhero establishes it. Daima repeats it.
Trunks is just a baffling plot hole.
At this point, it's consistency.
It's also really weird, because by the end of Daima, it seems like Super and Daima are separate continuities, so them taking the time to fill this super plot hole within Daima was extra weird. However, it does support my theory that the Daima writers weren't sure if Daima was going to be canon to Super or not themselves. Next one also isn't really a Daima retcon, but it should be mentioned that Dragon Ball Super retcons Batara earrings to only last an hour, while Daima sort of unretcons them, having Kibito Kai defused due to the air inside of Buu, just like Vegito. Somewhat similarly is how Dragon Ball Super...
That's not a retcon at all. That's just two ways to unfuse. You have the time limit and you have the boot thing. But even then, Kibito Kai, he wouldn't be subject to the time limit because Shin is a god.
Had Supreme Kai know the Kai Kai teleportation technique, despite him not knowing it during the plot of Dragon Ball Z. However, Daima unretconned that as well, as he clearly can't use it during Daima. Both this and the last one being good examples of why Daima doesn't fit.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know Kibito was the one with Kai Kai. I thought Shin was. Hmm.
Into the super timeline. And finally, this is a bit of a nitpick, but I feel like some people think Daima fixed Supreme Kai's color scheme, like it was originally wrong and Daima fixed it. Well, I'm here to tell you, Supreme Kai's original anime colors were actually accurate to how he appeared within the manga. The Daima color scheme was from Toriyama just using completely different colors on the Kanzenban covers that he made a few years after the manga was finished. So technically, Daima's color scheme is less manga accurate, not more. Now we have the Child Wish, which I've already discussed, but earlier I neglected to mention that they somewhat attempt to justify the blatant plot hole by introducing this black and white magic system that will never be brought up again after this. They explain that Shenron can only do white magic, so while they couldn't do something like kill our cast, they could do something neutral like transform them into children. Despite this attempt to justify their plot, it still doesn't work, because Shenron couldn't convert the androids back into humans, which I'm pretty sure would have also fallen under white magic. So no.
Why? That was just, hold on. Please tell me everybody got that. He just made an assumption and said this was a plot hole. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this would also fall under. He just made that up.
The Daima wish still shouldn't even work. Another weird thing about the wish is it makes Dende into a baby, implying Dende is a child, which makes absolutely no sense, as Dende was already an adult in the Buu saga. Daima also gives Shenron more of a personality.
Yeah, Dende is an adult in the Buu saga, but he was like what? Dude, I don't think we ever know how old Dende is. I'm not gonna lie, but by the Buu saga, even if he was 5 when we originally met him, just say he was around the same age as Gohan, maybe a little bit younger, then he would be like what, 12 by this point.
By giving him the autonomy to choose if he wants to give someone more than one wish or not. I don't necessarily hate this, but it's a retcon regardless. We then introduce the idea that Demon Realm residents all have pointy ears. This was a really weird call, as the
He was 5. Why would he be 17? Am I tripping? So we meet Dende. Then there's a year and a half to get to when Goku comes back to Earth. So let's say he was 6. Then there's 3 years for Cell until the androids show up. So then he'd be 9. All of the Cell android shit takes place over the course of like 2 weeks, and then the 7 years. So 16, maybe 16, 17. Yeah, I guess. Appreciate the 5, Dark World.
Most iconic Majin in the series, Majin Buu, doesn't have pointy ears, nor did his master Babidi. Next, back with Marba, instead of just being Saiyan bioweapons, now Marba was the one who created the Cybermen and left her entire realm just to sell them to the Saiyans for some reason. The Namekian planet in the Demon Realm is identical to planet Namek. This is supposed to imply they made efforts to make their new planet resemble their old one, but the writers completely overlooked that the appearance of planet Namek was only due to natural disasters that ravaged their population.
I can go further. Normal weather occurred. Namek was said to be beautiful, a beautiful world covered in Aegisa trees. However, the Aegisa forest and most of the Namekians died out, so now we're trying to make planet Namek beautiful once again by planting more Aegisa trees.
Back before Kami left Namek, the planet realm is identical to planet Namek. This is supposed to imply they made efforts to make their new planet resemble their old one, but the writers completely overlooked that the appearance of planet Namek was only due to natural disasters that ravaged their population. Back before Kami left Namek, the planet was covered in forests and other plant life, So this Demon Realm Namek doesn't resemble what Planet Namek originally looked like at all. For some reason, it resembles post-apocalypse Namek. Rymus technically isn't a retcon, because he only contradicts Super, and Daima probably isn't connected to Super. This one is sort of nitpicky. It doesn't actually bother me that much, but they retcon how Super Saiyan 3 looks. It doesn't really make any sense for Vegeta's Super Saiyan 3 to have such drastically short hair, considering Gotenks had essentially the same hair as Vegeta, but his Super Saiyan 3 had the original long hair. Daima includes two separate giant races. It's meant
What? This isn't a fucking retcon. It just shows that the transformations look different on different people.
Saiyan 3 had the original long hair. Daima includes two separate giant races. It's mentioned that they could have easily taken over the entire Demon Realm if they wanted to. This contradicts Dragon Ball Z, where Supreme Kai said Dabura was the strongest person from the Demon Realm. And in Daima, it appears Supreme Kai already knew about the Megath race. Daima has Demon Realm Purunga flick away Goma, but we have seen someone kill an Eternal Dragon before, and despite the fact that the creator of that dragon was much stronger than the guy trying to kill Shenron, he was still able to do it. Now, in Daima, Goma is probably stronger than Demon Realm Dragon. Daima has Demon... And in Daima, it appears Supreme Kai already knew about the Megath race. Daima has Demon Realm Purunga flick away Goma, but we have seen someone kill an Eternal Dragon before, and despite the fact that the creator of that dragon... But we have seen already knew about the Megath race. Daima has Demon Realm Purunga flick away Goma, but we have seen someone kill an Eternal Dragon before, and despite the fact that the creator of that dragon was much stronger than the guy trying to kill Shenron, he was still able to do it. Now, in Daima, Goma is probably stronger than Demon Realm Purunga's creator, but the dragon just Lotus him? It really doesn't make any sense. Alright.
Well, I mean, we already saw that Never can create things that go beyond his own potential with the Tamagamis, so.
Quick subscription check. Apparently a lot of people watch videos thinking they're subscribed, but they never actually clicked the button, so please double check for me. Part 3. Toriyama's final work. Well, we should talk about the elephant in the room. It's hard to detach discussion about Daima from the untimely death of Dragon Ball's creator, Akira Toriyama.
Oh yeah, he also
Daima
unlocked 2% 4.
his
Yeah.
final work. And I think this created a scenario where a lot of us really wanted to like Daima. It feels almost disrespectful to hate on the final work of the man who had such a widespread impact on not only manga and anime, but fiction in general. Toriyama's work means, like, everything to me. When I was in middle school, I didn't really have any friends. That was a pretty rough time in my life. But one thing that kept me going was the Dragon Ball Z volumes I would read in the school library. I was a pretty challenged kid, and reading it all was a bit of a struggle. But Dragon Ball was different. It was so well made, and the panels flowed so well together. Even a kid like me could understand what was going on. Dragon Ball was such a helpful escape from my struggles at school, and in many ways, it literally taught me how to read. Meanwhile, the themes of the story had a pretty strong impact on the person I would eventually become. I would always strive to be more like Goku in my life. I probably read Dragon Ball Z like 20 times during my time in that middle school, and many times after that as well. I told you that to really emphasize how much Akira Toriyama's work means to me. But even still, we shouldn't lie to ourselves. Just because it's Toriyama's last work, that doesn't change the fact that Daima was an absolute mess. As a lot of you know, Akira Toriyama was struggling a lot back during the production of Dragon Ball. He very likely wanted to end the story after the 23rd tournament, then again after the Cell Saga, but they kept begging him to continue, until finally he put his foot down after the Buu Saga, finally putting Dragon Ball behind him. It seems pretty clear to me that Toriyama wanted nothing to do with Dragon Ball, as he didn't even remember what Super Saiyan 2 was by the time of Battle of Gods, which is a pretty big deal, considering Super Saiyan 2 is a central plot element of one of the 3 major Z arcs. Truth is, Toriyama never wanted to write a serious drama like Dragon Ball Z. His true passion was always gag comedy, and he returned to that after Dragon Ball. To put it simply, Toriyama wasn't the same man he was when he wrote Dragon Ball Z. He had like 30 years to put Dragon Ball behind him, so when he stepped in to do a lot of the work on Daima, he didn't actually care about writing a compelling Dragon Ball story. He just wanted to tell one of his gag comedy stories within the Dragon Ball universe. So many of Daima's issues can be explained by knowing that Toriyama didn't really care about Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is full of comedy, but at no point did comedy ever take precedence over the actual narrative. That is, until Daima, where comedy is at the top of the priority list. Everything in Daima only exists as an avenue to get to the next joke. The best example of this is how the big climactic final battle was essentially meaningless. Goku didn't accomplish anything other than making Goma stronger, which is all set up for a joke, where Arinsu wonders if the spellbook might have more secrets that can help them, only for Majin Ku to get blown by the wind in the perfect position to beat Goma by hitting him with the spellbook. The entire final battle only exists as setup for a joke. At no point before did Dragon Ball ever undercut the plot to tell a joke. Some people will say the Buu Saga was also heavily comedy focused, but nothing from the
Okay. My take on this, 'cause I thought about the same thing whenever we were finishing Daima, whenever I watched the last episode. My take on this is that it's perfectly fine to do for a story like Daima because Daima already doesn't have stakes by the nature of its existence. So we already know that what happens in the demon realm here doesn't really matter. There's not going to be lasting effects of it because they're literally never brought up ever again. So I think within that context, it's perfectly fine for this all to be like a joke, for this to not be a super serious story at all, and for what he said at the end, like the final battle doesn't really lead to anything other than Daima getting or Goma getting stronger, and then he dies to a joke, or not dies, but you know what I mean. The evil eye gets removed as a joke.
Buu Saga even comes close to Daima. Imagine if the final Spirit Bomb wasn't what killed Kid Buu, but instead, after Kid Buu blows back the Spirit Bomb, Mr. Satan comes up with his patented anti-Majin Buu spray and saves the day. That's what...
Yeah, this is the issue when a lot of the Star Wars sequels, whenever people critique them, they do this same thing. Like, yes, that would not have worked there. It works here, though. You know what I mean?
Daima's finale was like. But is a comedy story really that bad? Well, no, but Daima wasn't marketed like a gag comedy anime. It was presented like a serious Dragon Ball story. Part 4. The entire show was filler with no plot. Alright, time for the final nail. Dragon Ball Daima is like 90% filler.
Yes, now this is probably going to be the first valid criticism he has.
So when I say that, what do I
In my opinion.
Well, generally, filler is a term used to define episodes of an anime that are entirely original to the anime, that didn't happen in the manga. Basically, the anime staff are filling in parts of the story. Generally, this happens because the anime caught up to the manga and needs to stall for time to let the manga release more content for them to adapt. Now, technically, there's no rule that says filler can't be good, but most of the time, due to the filler not being part of the original story, the filler ends up feeling like it had no importance to the main plot, ultimately feeling like a waste of time. And that's how I end up feeling about 90% of Daima. So much stuff happens in Daima that goes absolutely nowhere, neither giving us any new information, nor progressing our character's journey. Now, what actually is the plot of Daima? Well, Dr. Arinsu manipulates Goma into turning our gang into children. Then she sends Glorio to get them with the goal of gathering the Dragon Balls for her. They fight the Tamagami, while Arinsu creates new Majin to fight for her. Along the way, they see the cruel treatment of the Demon Realm residents, which makes them want to help remove Goma from the throne, with them eventually converging in the final battle, where Goma just gets lucky and the secrets to infinite power just happen to appear in front of him through no effort of his own. They fight for a while until Glorio obtains the Dragon Balls, but due to the bonds he's forged with the gang along the journey, he betrays Arinsu and wishes to restore our guys. Finally, despite being restored, Goma is still going to beat them. Suddenly, Majin Ku beats Goma through dumb luck, resulting in him being crowned the new Demon King. Alright, with that in mind, let's go through all the things.
Dude, the ending, like the last little stretch of Diamond is actually just so funny. It doesn't seem like this guy really fucks with the jokes at all, which, I mean, that's whatever. Comedy is way too subjective for me to care if he fucks with the jokes or not. But yeah, a lot of the reasons we're given in Daima for the characters making specific decisions don't really matter, or at least they could have been way better. So like, why not? I don't understand why this isn't a thing. Why not just have it to where, you know, Goku likes to fight. So Goku goes into the demon realm for that express purpose. Hey, I want to fight the person who did this, and have Supreme Kai go in there because he hasn't been to the demon realm in a long time, and Deborah's gone and he wants to explore it again. I don't know why it had to be, oh, we're going so that we can go get Dende back. I think it was perfectly fine to just do it the other way. Like obviously to get Dende back, but like have different motivations outside of that in order for them to go to the demon realm.
That have nothing to do with this plot. Now, before anything else, I just want to remind you that as soon as they enter the demon realm, Goku should be able to teleport straight to Goma and save Dende. We see later into the show that the only thing between the realms are a lot of rock, so there's no reason Goku couldn't teleport straight to Goma. Remember,
There was a seal. Yeah, there was literally a seal blocking them.
he teleported to the other side of the universe in Z. To
There's
a
no
bunch
seal
of relatively
there.
weak guys that he's never met before. But instead of doing that, they're just dicking around, hunting for Dragon Balls for literal weeks. Dende is kidnapped, and they're just dicking around on a ship. Okay. The first thing is how we set up Bulma to work on Supreme Kai's old ship, but she ultimately just fails and gets picked up by Hydas. So Bulma trying to fix the ship literally went nowhere. Once we get into the third demon realm, our cast has their ship stolen, so they have to go to a convenience store. This is where our cast picks up the Medibugs, including the healing and fusion bugs. Said fusion bugs never come up again, and even the healing bugs are never really used during an actual plot-relevant scene. So the Medibugs in general are complete filler, and could have just not happened. Next we see the cruelty of Goma's army, which itself is plot-relevant, as it establishes why our gang needs to defeat Goma. But this scene also introduces Pansy. This might be somewhat surprising to you, but Pansy is like a completely irrelevant character. If Pansy was never introduced, the main plot would be unchanged. And I'm not saying I dislike Pansy or anything, but facts are facts, and Pansy is irrelevant to the plot. Like, our gang was already going to see King Kadon before they met her, so her being his daughter also didn't matter. After that, while on the road, our ship breaks down again, so our gang discusses Supreme Kai's job. Goku goes to the bathroom, and Goma's men show up to be generally unpleasant. We just established that Goma's regime is oppressive last episode, so this entire section adds nothing to the story. Next episode, our ship gets stopped again by the army doing an inspection. This is the scene where we confirm Goku can still do instant transmission as a child, but Goku will never teleport again after this, so why did we even bother introducing it? And generally, this is now the third scene where our cast fights the Gendamari army. This scene takes up over half the episode, and the only thing of note is Pansy explaining the control collars, but even then, we already established how cruel Goma's army is. We didn't need to do it 3 times. This is now 2 episodes in a row where half of the episode is taken up by filler. The next episode is actually the worst one yet. After the Tamagami fight, our gang goes to an inn to rest. We spend over half an episode on these thieves stealing the Dragon Ball,
this
only
part
for
was
our guys to
bullshit.
immediately get it back. This literally contributed nothing to the story. Next is episode 10, where we get some relevant story with Majin Ku in the first 7 minutes, but then the entire remainder of the episode doesn't progress the plot at all, having our guys fight more Gendamare, a giant octopus, and then we get a lore dump about Supreme Kai's race and the creation of the universe, which is kinda cool, but none of it ties back into the main story, so it's functionally filler. Now, it actually pains me to say this, because I like him a lot, but Majin Du is kinda a completely unnecessary filler character. We spend all of this time creating him, then the only thing he accomplishes is beating Tamagami 1. After that, he doesn't really do anything, as his efforts against Goma amount to nothing. With that in mind, it would have made a lot more sense to just let Majin Ku somehow beat Tamagami 1 instead. That way, we save like half an episode of screen time that could have been spent on something that would actually matter. Like, maybe we could have followed Goma obtaining the third evil eye, as our villain desperately needed more development, and him actually earning his power instead of it just falling into his lap would have been nice. Next is an entire filler episode that has no relevance whatsoever. Our ship breaks down for like the 5th time on planet Mega, but let me remind you, this is the second demon realm. There isn't even weird gas in the air restricting them. There's no reason we couldn't leave the ship behind here. We then spend the entire episode dealing with giant shenanigans, none of which have any relevance going forward. If you just skipped this episode, you wouldn't even realize you missed one. In the next episode, we get introduced to the most unnecessary characters in the entire show. A literal cheap Ginyu Force ripoff in the Gendamare Force. These guys literally only exist to pad out runtime. They don't accomplish anything. Like, literally anything.
Dude, they're a joke.
Is that they're a joke. Next up is...
This guy hates the jokes, bro. I mean, like I said earlier, if you don't like it, you don't like it. I think that's fair enough. I think a lot of what I don't like about Daima comes down to that, but he's not even bringing up the stuff that I think is like genuine problems with Daima. This stuff is just like, oh, the joke didn't land for you. I thought these niggas were hilarious. In the small amount of scenes that they were in.
The worst episode in the series. The army episode. There's a bit in the middle of this episode where they set up the third evil eye, but outside of that, we spent an entire episode fighting an army of fodder. This episode is an absolute power scaling nightmare, but on the most basic level, it's ridiculous that our guys are struggling for the entire episode, but refuse to turn Super Saiyan. All because the writers wanted a big moment at the end where King Kadon and his men show up to save them. So like, a lot of this is technically plot relevant, so it's not filler. But I can't get over how long Goku and Vegeta just let themselves be bodied by an army while refusing to go Super Saiyan. It just doesn't make any logical sense. In the next episode, we deal with the filler, Gendemari Force. Then the rest of the episode is spent dealing with the absolute joke of a character that was Degesu. Bro, what does Degesu even do in this story? Absolutely nothing. Bro could just be removed and the plot wouldn't change. Bro is another completely unnecessary, irrelevant character. Why are we spending an entire episode on this guy? He's essentially just Goma's glorified butler. And finally, we have arrived at the ending. And this is the most frustrating part of Daima. So, many people are like, it's okay bro, the ending was good. No, it was not! Daima's ending is a complete waste of time. If you think back to my plot description of Daima, did you notice something? Yeah, that's right. The only relevant part of the final battle was Goma beating up our guys and Majin Ku beating Goma due to a stroke of luck. Every second of fighting in this final battle is entirely filler. None of it matters. The only thing we accomplish here is making Goma stronger. Neither Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta nor Super Saiyan 4 Goku had any impact on beating Goma whatsoever. Toriyama clearly didn't want to write any kind of serious narrative in Daima, so the staff at Toei just added a bunch of action shots during the final battle, but the entire fight can be boiled down to, and then they fight for a while. Then the actual plot resumes. But said fighting literally doesn't matter. But Super Saiyan
Dude,
3
the
Vegeta
fighting's not gonna matter. Like, I genuinely, I don't understand this take. This is the good part. This is the good part of in between stories. It's good that this shit doesn't matter because later on, why is no one ever mentioning it? You know? Like I like that this shit doesn't matter. It's you get to watch a fight, which niggas just like fights. I like how, and you really only see this in like these type of pretentious critique videos. People love to act like they don't just like watching fights. Like there must be something to the fight in order for them to enjoy it. Otherwise, there's no point in putting the fight in. There's no point in the fight. You like the fight, dude. You like watching it, and it's okay to like the fight. That's it. There doesn't need to be the highest stakes possible. You like watching the fight. The only thing you need for a fight is a reason for the fight to happen. That's all. They think they can beat Goma. They try. Goma wants to kill them. That's all you need to justify a fight happening. What if he says he doesn't like Dragon Ball fights? Then fuck off. Why'd you even start watching Daima? Dragon Ball is like 95% fights.
Super Saiyan 4 Goku were so cool. Your goats accomplish nothing. Goma bodies them. The end. They lose the fight, only for Ku to beat Goma due to complete luck. The third evil eye is literally the dumbest plot device in the Dragon Ball universe. Nothing from even evolution makes me groan as hard as thinking about the third evil eye. Goma's entire existence in this final battle is just to be a big punching bag so Goku and Vegeta can aura farm cool looking attacks so that they can be used in video games. But he has the third evil eye, so none.
I hate like that there. What's the term here? I'm about to try to use like a really pretentious term, so don't mind me too much. What's the term? Intellectually lazy, I believe. that type of critique is so intellectually lazy. It's like, oh, this only exists so they can sell more toys and use things in video games. So what, nigga? So what? Yes, the companies want to make money. And and nigga, I just like I don't think that it's one of those things that I don't think that that's genuine. I don't think those are genuine critiques. I think maybe someone said it one time, like, oh, this is all for the sake of merch. And now it gets spammed constantly, especially on anime content. It gets spammed constantly. Why do you care that the company wants to make money off of you? Like, if anything, I'm a little more insulted that they didn't put just a little bit more effort into it. But the fact that they just want to do it, who cares? Like, yes, this should have been a better explanation for Super Saiyan 4 and potentially Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta as well. But like, oh, Goma just exists for Goku and Vegeta to Aura farm. Dude, he's the villain. You can say that about anyone. Like, who cares if that's his reason for existing? It's not a critique. Let's take Gogeta versus Broly, for example. Gogeta does a bunch of extra shit for merchandising, but at least he's doing damage to Broly. Every attack did 0 damage, and the only thing that matters is knocking the eye out. Well, yeah, the point of the fight is to distract him so that he can knock the eye out. That's what Goku's trying to do. He's trying to create an opening for Piccolo. It just what ends up happening is he doesn't end up creating the opening because Goma just keeps getting stronger and stronger. And then Majin Ku finds himself in a spot for the opening by pure happenstance. Like it all just sets up that joke. But I'm not saying that there can't be like this couldn't have gone down differently. I just genuinely don't believe that this is something that people care about. Did I say Gogeta? I meant Gogeta, whatever. I just don't believe that this is something that people care about. Like effectively what that says to me is like, oh, this could have been better. But I think realistically anything could have been better depending on whose standards you're going by. Cause I don't believe there's anything that's truly perfect.
Have said cool attacks do literally anything. People will act like GT's Super 17 arc was trash because Goku stupidly powered up Super 17 for an episode. And I'm not here to defend that, but our entire cast beating on Goma for 4 episodes, while the third evil eye continues to power him up, is like infinitely worse. At no point does anyone even consider, maybe we should try and destroy the third evil eye on his head. It's clearly where his power is coming from. But no one even thinks about attacking the eye. But I feel like I never see anyone ever complain about this. But my good animation, though. It's so ridiculous that people act like Daima is a good show, solely because it has some good animation. Flashy animation with no plot should not be regarded this highly. Daima is like, of equal writing quality.
Like this is just dumb. This is genuinely just stupid to me. And I don't understand the pretentiousness. I don't understand the pretentiousness in these types of opinions. Like let's say if Daima has no plot whatsoever, flashy animation, no plot. I just want to know, where does the issue come in with that? His voice is kind of annoying. I don't really like to talk about people's voices though. I'm not gonna lie, unless it's like really getting to me, and this isn't. Did he say they should attack the eye? Did he say that?
Quality. Evil Eye continues to power, but our entire cast beating on Goma for 4 episodes, while the third Evil Eye continues to power him up, is like infinitely worse. At no point does anyone even consider, maybe we should try and destroy the third Evil Eye on his head. It's
Oh yeah, no, this nigga's stupid. Yeah, no, he didn't watch. He didn't watch. You can't just do that. You can't do that. You have to. They explain the way to get rid of the third evil eye. And I mean, realistically, the plan. That's the plan. The plan is to get rid of the third evil eye. You can't just destroy it though. It has to be removed.
clearly where his power is coming from. But no one even thinks about attacking the eye. But I feel like I never see anyone ever complain about this. But my good animation, though. It's so ridiculous that people act like Daima is a good show, solely because it has some good animation. Flashy animation with no plot should not be regarded this highly. Daima is like, of equal writing quality to
See, okay. This is my thing. This is my thing. I think the plot thing, it probably comes from like, oh, this is typically harder to write than the other type of show would be. So writing a show with no plot but having great animation, or a simple plot and great animation, is typically going to be easier than writing a show with a super complex plot and good animation or mid animation or whatever. The thing is, the thing that gets me about this is I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words properly. The only reason, because he said flashy animation and no plot shouldn't be regarded as highly. But that's all gonna be, to be honest, I feel similarly about Daima. No, I don't want a VC. But the thing about the plot, the thing about plot versus no plot, is it's all like, obviously it's all for entertainment, right? It's all for entertainment. So it's just up to like what keeps the viewer engaged. I don't think that just because something doesn't have the stronger plot to it, that you can get pretentious about people not liking it, because at the end of the day, plot is just another thing to help keep you engaged, and it's not the most important thing. Does that make sense? Basically, what I'm saying is, this being so highly regarded, I mean, he doesn't like it, so obviously that's why he cares so much. But this being so highly regarded is because even in spite of it not having the best plot, which, like I said, I like the like joke behind Daima. Even with it not having the best plot, it has something else that's really good. Mm-mm-mm. Like if you want to make something entertaining and you set out to make a great plot and then you end up fucking it up, hey, you know, you fucked up, nigga. I don't
Dragon
know.
Ball Heroes. Oh, but at least the action in Heroes actually contributed to the plot. A truly excellent story never wastes time with meaningless fluff. You'd be hard-pressed to find anything from original Dragon Ball that happened for no reason, not tying back into the story somehow. But with Daima, they're everywhere. Genuinely, I don't understand how it got this bad. Now, some might say I'm being a bit harsh here. Not every little thing needs to be plot relevant. Well, maybe you would have an argument, but there are several things in Daima that very clearly needed more screen time and just didn't get it. We're out here wasting
more screen time for what you're talking about. To tell the type of story you're talking about. They didn't need more. He just went through, he did as just got done complaining about how basically none of this is relevant to the plot. If these things got more screen time, he would just complain about more filler. You can't have it both ways. At some point, you have to acknowledge, okay, there's all these unimportant things in the story. Maybe this story just isn't as serious and isn't trying to be.
time on it.
You can't say that these things describe or need more screen time while also saying these things are just filler and take up screen time.
Giant world filler episode when we haven't even established Glorio's backstory. Bro's back.
We don't fucking need it. And this is weird to hear from a Dragon Ball fan. This is really weird to hear from a Dragon Ball fan. But you don't need the fucking backstory. We don't need this nigga's backstory. We know as much about this guy as we need to. We know that he works for the Supreme Kai's sister. I can't remember her name right now, but he works for Supreme Kai's sister because she helped him in some way. I can't remember the way, but he works for Supreme Kai's sister. He originally was with Goku in the gang so that he could betray them and just bring the Dragon Ball to the Supreme Kai sister. And along the way, he formed a bond with them and he didn't want to do that betrayal anymore. We don't need a backstory for that. No, we need a backstory to find out that he's actually not all that bad of a person. He doesn't do anything evil.
Backstory is like central to the plot, and we didn't even see it. There is no weight behind him betraying Arinzu, because we have no idea what she even did for him in the first place. Additionally, Glorio really needed more screen time to bond with Goku in general. There's this joke where Goku can't remember Glorio's name, and I don't know if it's just me, but this joke kind of belittles Glorio's entire emotional arc. Bro is betraying his master for this orange kid who can't even be bothered to remember his name. Once again, Daima undercuts the serious plot for a joke. Additionally, we could have spent literally...
Like, what's this guy's problem? It's not serious. The Daima plot is not serious.
any time at all setting up Super Saiyan 4, either by foreshadowing it, or by somehow tying Goku's transformation into the narrative. But no, it just comes out of nowhere. Maybe Goma could have somehow went out and found a third evil eye, instead of it just falling into his lap. Or maybe Degesu could have literally done anything. Now, full disclosure, I do think I have some idea of why Daima is the way it is. There's generally two kind of TV series, those being episodic shows and long-form series. Ultimately, I don't think Toriyama wanted to write a proper Dragon Ball story. No, what Toriyama really wanted to do was write an episodic comedy, but the producers wanted a Dragon Ball story, so they disguised Toriyama's episodic comedy. But the producers wanted
This bitch shot a takedown on a goat.
a Dragon Ball story.
What the fuck? What is that?
Toriyama's
What was
episodic comedy
that?
was a serious Dragon Ball story. That's why Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 4 Goku feel tacked on at the end. It's because they were. Toriyama couldn't have cared less about transformations or including any kind of moral to his story. He just wanted to tell funny jokes, which is honestly sad, because I bet Toriyama still had it in him to tell a compelling story, but he simply didn't want to. For like a year, I was in denial of how...
Okay, so this just undercut the whole fucking video. So he understands that Toriyama probably just didn't want to make a serious story. And he made this shit just to tell a bunch of jokes. And he spends the whole video complaining about how there's no serious story. When that's not what it's fucking trying to do.
how bad Daima was. I desperately wanted to like it. I've made a few videos complaining about Daima in the past. From how Goma is an awful final villain, to how Daima Super Saiyan 4 is a shallow imitation of the original. But even when I made those, I tried to cope and say, this thing is bad, but the show is still decent. But no, it really wasn't. Daima is honestly an embarrassment. A complete mess from start to finish. Now, similarly to Daima, I've made a lot of negative videos about Super, but I actually like Super, as it has a lot of
fuck no. Hell no. Yeah. The video's pretty much over anyway. But yeah. Nigga said he likes Super. I'm done with that. You like Super? Cool. Like it. I don't know how the fuck you can like it. How you can not like Daima but like Super? That has to be some type of joke. Go back and see if he says he likes GT. Nah, the video only had like 20 seconds left anyway. But dude, holy fuck. Yeah, I didn't like that video. I did not like that video. Troy sent it to me earlier, just asked me if I knew who this nigga was. You know, I don't know who he is, but I want to react to it on stream. I can get not loving Daima, I wouldn't get hating Daima. Yeah. Facts. Nigga, Gogeta, we're not ending stream. What the hell? Actually, do I want to end stream? No, I really don't. Not right now. I like Super when it was initially airing, but after looking back at it, I realized I just like being able to watch a new weekly Dragon Ball series for the first time. Facts, bro. No, dude, everybody has to have that experience with Super. I have the literal same exact experience, and so do all of my friends. Like Dragon Ball Super was so, bro, coming out every week. Dragon Ball Super was fucking goated. Dragon Ball Super was fucking goated coming out every week. I literally loved it every week. But now, I just don't fuck with it at all. It has the cool parts to it. It has the cool parts to it, but that's really it. I didn't hate, but didn't like it either. We just more Dragon Ball. I mean, hey, that's you. Like, bro, I want to make it clear. Like, Baku, I fuck. Hey, that's a cool opinion. I like Daima personally, but even if you don't like Daima, that's whatever. I'm just sick of, and I'm in like the mood to hear criticism right now because I've been looking at a bunch of Star Wars sequel criticism recently, and a lot of it is stupid. I hate when I genuinely can't stand this. When people just don't like something and they try to come up with these pretentious ass reasons why it doesn't work in a specific scenario. I fucking hate that. Like generally there's like a few different things. There's maybe a few different things where uh oh yeah, this doesn't work when it comes to the grand scheme of a work that people consider bad, but this just nitpicky bullshit. An example of the sequel thing, um people when people talk about how Rey learned the Jedi mind trick. When people talk about how Rey learned the Jedi mind trick, they're like, well, how the fuck does Rey learn the Jedi mind trick? And this is something we don't see Luke and Anakin do until like way later. It's like, dude, in the first movie, for one, Rey, what a lot of people like to ignore about that scene, Rey is dead ass. While she's learning the mind trick, she is literally being given an example of how to do it in the scene. Kylo Ren is dead ass doing it to her in the scene. And then they like to act like Rey they like to act like the Jedi mind trick is like some super high level technique. And it's not. It's never even treated as that. So like Rey learning how to do that very basic move was I thought it was a cool way to give Rey like a staple move in the series. And everyone was like, yeah, this doesn't work because now Rey can do anything. It's like, dude, she does a Jedi mind trick to prevent her I'll get into like other problems with this in a minute. She does it. She does the reversal of Kylo Ren's mind reading, so that Kylo Ren doesn't continue to read her mind, which, like I said, getting literal demonstration. And then she mind tricks a stormtrooper to get out of her cell. So, for one, the ability to read people's mind through the Force forcefully, like Kylo Ren was doing, that's a completely new ability that was introduced in Episode 7. The only time that ability has worked successfully with absolutely no resistance was on someone with no force sensitivity at all, that being Poe earlier. So to say that Kylo Ren is doing something extremely high level on Rey, and Rey is learning something extremely high level when the only person it's ever been used on is someone not force sensitive in the first place, is already disingenuous. That ability was already in Clone Wars? No. In Clone Wars, they I think it's Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Mace Windu. They all have to work together to mind trick Cad Bane, because Cad Bane has a strong mind, and the Jedi mind trick fundamentally works better on weak minds. But reaching into someone's head and reading the thoughts, that's new. Mm-mm-mm. How do you write a story that we already know Anakin was the most powerful person to live? Then Rey was a girl who can surpass all of them. That doesn't even happen. Rey doesn't surpass all of them. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Um, People like to act like Rey is too powerful, but also not powerful at the same time. You gotta fucking pick one. How does she know how to pilot a spaceship if going by episode 4 context only? I don't know. I genuinely don't remember. Ba, 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 ba. They didn't build her right. I think they built Rey perfectly fine. Rey was built basically the same way that Luke and Anakin were. That's what's the stream here. Somebody appreciate the 20, bro. Oh shit. Like in episode 1, well, it's hard to use episode 1 because we already know what Anakin's gonna end up being in Darth Vader. But because of the original trilogy. But in episode 4, uh like Luke isn't doing Luke is doing shit that's like kind of crazy, and there's no real reason for it, but just don't really care. I don't know. I know stuff is clarified in the books that Luke had experience with a spaceship. Yeah, like retroactive canon didn't work for Ray, but it does for Luke. I haven't seen the book stuff. Son of Skywalker type shit. I mean, yeah, but like that's so unfair. We don't even know Anakin in episode 4. Are we led to believe that being a good pilot just gets passed down in the gene pool? I think I dislike about the Star Wars sequel is how they portray Luke in episode 8. Luke is a Mary suit too. In the trench run, he made that shot was 1 in 1 million. His eyes were crazy. I guess. I don't think that Luke's a Gary Stu though. I don't think Ray is a Mary Sue either. Ray loses far too much to be a Mary Sue. I'm not gonna lie. And I like. Hold up. Now this, granted, I already understand is a very hot take, but I like Luke in the sequels more than in the original trilogy. I thought Luke in the sequels was really cool. Being used as an old cranky person. Bro, I feel like people have so like they have so much there's so much problems with Luke's arc and just ignore like the reasons he was like that. Even Mark Hamill, like when I was watching him bitch about Luke, that was so like annoying. That, oh, maybe this is Jake Skywalker. Luke would never do this. Like, dude, the Luke you know didn't go through this shit. The Luke you know what it didn't go through this shit. The Force Awakens was awesome. It shows Rey with raw untapped potential. The Last Jedi undoes everything they build for her scaling such potential, as well as destroy all imitating aura Kylo has. Oh, that's cap. Kylo's still imitating. Or intimidating. I said imitating. But he's still intimidating. But they do kind of backtrack on her potential in episode 8. The Luke he knew wouldn't have tried to attack Kylo instinctively as a wise Jedi Master. Dude, this is the thing, right? Luke didn't try to attack Kylo. He thought about attacking Kylo for what he says. Like he says, the thought passed like a fleeting shadow. Like it, he thought about attacking Kylo for just a brief second. This is the same guy who held restraint for his father, who he barely knew and was actively trying to kill him. Dude, the difference between Kylo and Vader, this is so simple. I don't know. It flies over the head of everybody who watches the sequels. It's so simple. Vader is very bad, but Luke sees the good in Vader. Kylo didn't have that. There was no good left. He said, Luke says he looked into Kylo's mind and saw nothing but darkness. He would destroy everything. Snoke already turned his mind. So with Vader, it was he's bad. There's a little bit of good. With Kylo was he's bad. That's it. How did bitch get turned so easily? Hold on, Gogito. Episode 9 is ass. Episode 8, look. So this is episode 8. Episode 8 is setting up that Kylo will be the completed Vader. That's what episode 8 sets up. Kylo is conflicted between the light and darkness later, not at that time. What Kylo got conflicted when he killed Han. Kylo killed Han, and Snoke says that split you to the bone. That decision split you to the bone. That's what made him conflicted. And then Kylo reaffirms that he is with the dark side. That is where he wants to be. He's not like Vader, where he wants to be on the side of the light. He feels the light. He says he feels the light pulling him. He wants to go back to the dark. So in episode 8, when Kylo kills Snoke, that's like Vader's decision to kill Palpatine. And he has his choice right there to either go be good or be bad. Those are Kylo's choices. He chooses to be bad. Summarizing, obviously, but he chooses the dark side. That's why him and Rey have to fight over the saber. Luke did not swing at Kylo. No, 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 he didn't. There's three different versions of the story. So there's the version Luke tells to Rey at first, which is a lie. Then there's the version that Kylo tells to Rey, which is another lie. And then Luke tells her the truth in the third version. Kylo pulls up his saber and Luke goes to block it. But Luke did turn on his saber. He never swings it. I thought he was trying to kill him while he was sleeping. No, so yeah, that's how it goes. When he goes to yes, turning it on as a threat. That's the issue. That's the issue. That's the mistake he made. The mistake he made was turning on the saber. Because then Kylo wakes up, looks at him, and he's like, "What the fuck?" You know what I mean? That's the mistake. Do people dog on Rey as much as they do Korra, or is it worse? Nah, Korra probably gets it worse. I'm not gonna lie. Korra genuinely can't do anything. Whenever, bro, anything Korra does, people just fucking rip on. I appreciate the 10, but yeah, Korra gets done worse for sure. Mm-mm-mm. I think Ray would have been better if she stayed at nobody. Facts. Facts. The sweet was like swinging and cutting Buddy in half. People call Cora a Mary Sue, and even though she loses way too much. Yeah, that shit is stupid too. It's the same thing with Ray. She's a Mary Sue that loses all the time. It's like, okay, is she a Mary Sue or not, dude? Shut up. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just ranting about the sequels. What else do I want to say about Ray? Oh, people bitch about Ray beating Kylo in the at the end of episode 7. Dude, and it's like, dude, like we can't have watched the same movie. We can't have watched the same movie. Kylo is sitting there bleeding out. He's bleeding out, sweating profusely, and tired. He just got shot in the hip by Chewie's crossbow bolt bullshit, whatever, I forget. That literally like blows up piles of stormtroopers. Bowcaster, that's what it's called. And people are like, how did she beat him? How did she beat him? He's fucked up. She beat like 2 HP Kylo Ren. Kylo beat Finn easy. Finn couldn't use the Force. Finn's just Force sensitive. He didn't even beat him easy. Finn tags him. Didn't hit him in the liver or something? Yeah. It did. Or at least they hit him on that side and conflicted. So yes, he's conflicted. The only reason I don't like to bring up that he's conflicted anymore is because that comes up in episode 8. So I don't like continuity wise. Yeah, he's conflicted. He was already tired and wounded. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like I think it's impressive that Kylo Ren was able to fight for as long as he did. No, I haven't seen The Mandalorian and Grogu yet. I'm gonna watch it though. I'm gonna watch it. I'm probably gonna go see it next week. I have to catch up on The Mandalorian. I haven't seen season 2 or 3. Wasn't he also wanting to turn Rey? Yeah, he was. He was. I forgot about that. I can't believe I just overlooked that aspect. But that's true. That's true. He was trying to turn Rey. Like he wanted her to come to his side. It's about Star Wars? Yeah, we're talking about Star Wars right now. No, I haven't seen season two. No, time this nigga out. Time this nigga out, please. Time him out. Just hide him from the channel, actually. Carlos dog shit at speaking. What the fuck? That scene where Ray lines up the no. Everything in Rise of Skywalker is ass. I don't like Rise of Sky. I like episode 7 and I like episode 8. Rise of Skywalker is actually, I think, next to Game of Thrones, Rise of Skywalker is the worst ending I've ever seen. I hate that fucking movie. Jeez. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker is fucking terrible. Let me think. What else is there to talk about with the sequels? I don't know. There's a lot of pretentious ass shit. I kind of want. Maybe I should watch a video about it. Maybe we should watch a video. I want to watch a video about it. It's much easier to respond to these whenever like I have someone actively criticizing them. Dark side or light side? Light side. Do you know some people? There are Star Wars fans who think that balancing the force means that light and dark are equal. I couldn't believe that, genuinely. The balance to the force is no dark side at all. That shit should not exist. I fuck with the light side of the force. The dark side has cool people, but yeah. They wouldn't let me on the light side. Who cares? Nigga, they let Anakin on the light side. He even went evil and came back. Hold up. I need to watch this video later. All right. Force lightning is cool. Yeah, it is. Pretty sure George Lucas has said the opposite. The opposite of what I just said? Let me let me see. Hold up. What's a good video about this? I've watched so many sequel like critique videos. I think this one was probably the most coherent one. Yeah, we'll watch this. We'll watch this. Okay. So this video this video is called The Star Wars Sequels Disney's Anti-Trilogy. I like the way he formulates this video. I don't remember if I thought it was good, but it was at least coherent whenever I was watching. Favorite Sith is Darth Vader. Obviously, why would I pick anyone else? Anyone who says Darth Vader's not their favorite Sith is performing. That's performance, dude. It's Vader. Hold on, I'm just gonna start playing this. Do niggas want to? If y'all don't want to watch this, I won't play. We can start talking about something else. But it's just much easier to critique this shit whenever I have it in front of me. Like someone in front of me talking about it. Before you start, do you think Clone Wars Anakin and movie Anakin are different characters? They seem to be a bit different. I haven't seen all of Clone Wars though. Anakin seems to be a little bit more he's a little bit more well spoken. He's not as socially awkward in Clone Wars. It's 25 minutes. It's not Drinker. It's not Drinker. Critical Drinker is fucking retarded. I like Palpatine more. Well, I guess Palpatine's not a bad answer either. Okay, but it's one of those two though. How long is it? It's 25 minutes.
This will begin to make things right.
And that is where things started to go wrong. Everyone seems to agree that the Disney Star Wars sequels were something of a mess. Even people who do happen to like one of them, or the other, really? Still don't think of them as a coherent trilogy. But, as is always the case with Star Wars, looks can be deceiving, and these three movies actually do share an important characteristic. One fundamental trait that, in retrospect, completely unifies them as a trilogy. All three of the sequels think of themselves as an antidote to things that had gone before them. You could even call them the Antidote Trilogy. But that's just a little too long, isn't it? Let's shorten it just a... Perfect. At first, The Force Awakens didn't seem to be anti-anything. Maybe it looked a little overfamiliar. But all the early images made one thing very clear. Star Wars was back. And this movie was here to celebrate. Everything about it was tailor-made for lifelong fans of the franchise, both in the way it brought back old things and in the way it introduced new ones. For instance, not only did this movie bring back Han, Leia, and the Millennium Falcon, but the casting process to find Rey and Finn was designed after the way Lucas found young, unknown actors for A New Hope. There are some familiar stories, but they come from
hold on,
familiar
let me
writers.
slow it back down.
Lawrence Kasdan came in to work on the screenplay, just like he did on The Empire Strikes Back. Echoes of classic Star Wars are everywhere, and not just in the obvious places, like the rundown technology, practical effects, and real lived-in sets, but even more obscure elements, like the specific camera and film stock they used on the original trilogy, and, okay, we can admit that something is missing here. In a movie that's almost 2.5 hours of references, none of them include the prequel trilogy. This celebration of Star Wars is really just a mashup of A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back.
Trash compactor?
And it's not too hard to imagine why that might be. A lot of fans just didn't like episodes 1 through 3, and J.J. Abrams is clearly one of them.
For us, at the very beginning, it was really about why we were telling the story, and it was to give people that sense of possibility and magic that we all felt when we first saw the original Star Wars.
That's what lines like this are about.
This will begin to make things right.
Well, because of you, now we have a chance.
Abrams is here to get right what George Lucas got wrong. The point of his revisiting the legacy of Star Wars is to take the prequels out of it.
Meaning, it's not a nostalgia trip. We had to go backwards in order to go forwards.
More straightforwardly, The Force Awakens is anti-prequel. That's why it's making a big deal out of things like the practical effects. After hearing them talk about it, you would think the production was going back to the old way of making Star Wars movies. Obviously, they weren't. And actually, The Phantom Menace had fewer visual effects shots than The Force Awakens, which uses all kinds of digital effects. And not everyone knows this, but each prequel used more miniatures than the entire classic trilogy. And it's not like they stopped using makeup, puppets, or real-life location work. The biggest difference was marketing.
When the prequels came out, all that digital stuff was new, so they became known for it. And anything the prequels were known for is something The Force Awakens ran away from as fast and as far as it could.
This was a mistake! Huge!
In doing so, the movie misses the point of what these effects are even for. It treats them like it treats references to old scenes, or props, or C-3PO.
Goodness! Han Solo! It is I, C-3PO.
It just sticks them in there, for no reason other than to have a practical effect, or C-3PO, on screen.
Excuse me, General, sorry.
And that's just not how Star Wars has ever worked. In that scene,
Okay. I just remember a little bit about this video. I don't think he's critiquing it as much, but I have another video I'm gonna pull up. But this is part of what I was talking about earlier when I was like, they throw these critiques out and then they kind of just tell you why it doesn't work. When like it doesn't fucking matter. Like the point of that is obviously to use the practical effect. The point of using the practical effects is for the sake of using the practical effects. They're cool. That's what the original Star Wars had. Even though they don't use it for the same reasons, the reason that they are using it is different. So you can't say it doesn't work. It works. It's just not what you wanted out of it. It accomplishes something different than what happens in A New Hope, but it's still there because it's a cool way to do those types of things instead of the visual effects. I didn't watch Maul Shadow Lord, no, not yet. Hold on 1 second though. Let me pull up this other video because there was another video that was just better than that one.
Or 4 days ago, know
Yeah,
the
this
truth.
one. Yeah, here we go. Okay.
My
Yeah.
immediate
I feel like I can
response
put
is
this one.
always, I can't come up with a work that greater is why it could be told through Anakin as it was first told through Luke. Its latest iteration, of course, told through a woman named Rey.
I like single saber more than dual wield.
And what I believe was a great failure to competently retell this story and tell one of its own. How a foolish approach to creating a trilogy hurt every film in it, and how this approach robbed Star Wars of its space fantasy and turned it into just another science fiction franchise. This is Star Wars, a critique of the sequels. The first step to understanding the problems with the sequel trilogy is breaking down their lack of planning. Unlike the original trilogy, where George Lucas took the first act from a nearly 200-page script he had written and used that as the basis for A New Hope and then subsequent films, the sequels had practically no direction movie to movie.
I think he has great...
This is true. Like, this is just true. That's why episode 9 is so terrible.
reservations. He's really conflicted. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Snoke is the leader of the First Order. He's like the Emperor in the original trilogy.
There's something about this girl that people around her can feel. There's something about her that's going to broaden the story.
What's more, they also seem to have had very little coordination between the two filmmakers who worked on the trilogy, J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson. It was this absence of direction and collaboration that forced Johnson to flesh out the disappearance of Luke Skywalker, something we'll talk about in great detail later. For now, listen to how clear it is that Johnson was left on his own to figure out something as crucial as Luke's backstory.
The first thing I had to do when I was writing the script was figure out why is Luke on this island. I knew, because it's Luke Skywalker, who I grew up with as a hero, I knew the answer couldn't be cowardice. I knew the answer had to be something active. He couldn't just be hiding, and I knew it had to be something positive. He thinks he's doing the right thing.
The importance of this is simple. If you don't know where you're going, you don't know how to get there. The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker are both films that spend time rewriting the ones that preceded them, meaning that every problem originates from The Force Awakens. Before we get to talking about specifics, however, there's one more thing that needs to be mentioned. The people who worked on these films clearly believed that there were concepts that were just a given in the Star Wars universe. Their part in telling the story was never analyzed, much less questioned, because they were considered intrinsic to its identity.
And so we went backwards to go forwards. We embraced everything that we could that felt to us distinctly Star Wars. This whole location of Maz's, of course, mirrors the cantina from A New Hope, as this Starkiller Base mirrors the Death Star. These were the kind of locations that felt like a given in Star Wars. We looked at it like a Western or a fairy tale. What are the elements that you're going to see that makes it this genre, this specific genre? We wanted to give these sort of...
Luke could contain a black hole in fucking in Legends. Yeah, Luke could contain black holes. That shit was crazy.
This is the root of the sequel trilogy's problems. Because it doesn't exist in a vacuum, its attempts to fit its characters into the roles of old characters to mirror the themes of the original trilogy result in several plot inconsistencies. These inconsistencies then splinter off and lead to countless other issues that sabotage all three films. With this in mind, we're going to start with The Force Awakens, and the first example of this, the First Order. The First Order, which is apparently only a part of this story because an establishment oppressor is a box necessary to tick in order for Star Wars to be Star Wars, makes no sense at all. With the Emperor dead and the Empire in ruins, one would think that another dark side Force user taking command of the galaxy would be uniquely far-fetched, but The Force Awakens doesn't care. The First Order just exists, and some would say that's fine because the Empire just existed at the start of Star Wars, but the two aren't really comparable. The premise of the first work of any franchise is distinctively invulnerable to certain criticisms. It cannot contradict anything previously established because it's the very foundation for future plot points that could. The Empire ruled in A New Hope because it was an essential part of its premise, and as importantly, its existence as the ruling entity.
So this is another thing. So pay attention to what he says right here.
Anything previously established work of any franchise existed at the start of Star Wars, but the two aren't really comparable. The premise of the first work of any franchise is distinctively invulnerable to certain criticisms. The premise of the first work of any franchise is instinctively invulnerable to any criticisms. The issue with that is you can take that further. Like the first work of specific things are invulnerable to certain criticisms as well. So like in order for this sequel trilogy to get, or I'm sorry, not the sequel trilogy, in order for the original trilogy to get off the ground, it's important that the Empire is already established. Now, later on, you know, George Lucas wrote 1, 2, and 3 that better show you how the Empire came to power. But even if he didn't write those things, it's still important that the Empire is established already in episode 4. You never need to know why. Episode 7 is similar. The First Order needs to be there for episode 7 to work. So it has the same sort of invulnerability that episode 4 does in this case. I'm going to let him keep explaining because there's like more things I want to respond to though. It cannot contradict anything previously established because it's the very foundation for future plot points that could. The Empire ruled in A New Hope because it was an essential part of its premise, and as importantly, its existence as the ruling entity didn't contradict anything that came before it, or even anything established in the rest of the film. George Lucas himself understood that when you want to tell new stories in an old universe, things can't just exist because you want them to. They revolve around the original work and everything established in it. Here's Lucas talking about the creation of the prequels.
When I wrote the original screenplay, I'd written a backstory for all the characters, so I knew where they came from, and since I was starting this whole thing in episode 4, I had to know kind of where all these characters came from and how they fit together and what the story was. I had the outline, so I kind of knew how the dots connected, but then there's a whole story that has to fit around that. You have to sort of turn that into, you know, another 6 hours of film.
The Force Awakens is not the first Star Wars film, therefore its premise is beholden to the narrative and logic of both the original trilogy and the prequels. So when you see that the First Order is magnitudes bigger and stronger than the Empire, the question that arises is, how? The prequels showed us the time before the Empire that Obi-Wan referred to when he first met Luke. They proved that
let me keep
did
going.
not appear one day and become the Emperor. He had a very well thought out plan that culminated with the destruction of his last meaningful opposition, the Jedi. The First Order is so nonsensical, however, that even if the prequels hadn't created the Rule of Two and demonstrated how much time and effort it took Palpatine to execute his plan, it still runs into the problem of the Empire falling at the end of Return of the Jedi. Granted, The Force Awakens takes place 30 years after that, but that's one of the reasons the First Order is so illogical. Supreme Leader Snoke looks old enough to...
Okay. So this is the issue. The issue is the First Order doesn't need to tell you how it established itself. In fact, in my opinion, I think the movie's better off not letting us know how the First Order established itself. Point is, hey, these evil guys exist and they need to be dealt with, not here's another empire. It's a bigger and better empire because the First Order has the blueprint of the empire. The Empire showed everyone, hey, you can make gigantic planet-destroying weapons. It's only natural. War just brings about advancements in technology. We just know that, right? Every time there's a big war, you get some type of gigantic technological boost because people want to one-up their enemies. The First Order decides, okay, our big boost, we're going to blow up 5 planets. That's fucking crazy. We're going to blow up 5 fucking planets at one time instead of just one planet at one time. So the First Order is easier to establish than the Empire because they have the blueprint of the Empire. And that's just implicit. Like you don't need that explanation, or at least you shouldn't need that explanation. So the First Order works regardless. And aside from that, he brought this up as a point against the First Order making sense. But this is 30 years afterwards. He's gonna get into why like Snoke is super old, so it doesn't really make sense. Like people should have known he was around. People should have sensed this like super powerful person. But if Snoke isn't making himself known, then why would they go out of their way to go deal with him? They don't fucking know he exists.
Have been around during the original trilogy.
Listen to this.
Of Return of the Jedi. Granted, The Force Awakens takes place 30 years after that, but that's one of the reasons the First Order is so illogical. Supreme Leader Snoke looks old enough to have been around during the original trilogy, and given his strength with the Force, the idea that he's not seen or mentioned during any of it is convenient at best.
No, it's not convenient at best. If he's not showing himself, then there's no, like, of course no one's going to mention him. It's been 30 years. It's been 30 years, and we know for a fact that some people are more talented in the Force than other people. Snoke being this entity, and he's using the dark side, and the dark side is like inherently more powerful. Snoke being this entity that's really strong in the Force, 30 years post episode 6 is not a convenient as at best plot point. It's just what it is. Now, the root of a criticism like this is obviously just, I want more, which is fair. It's fair to want more, but to say that because you want more, this doesn't work is two separate things. Like essentially, it's like what I went over earlier. Essentially, what this boils down to is this could have been better, not this is bad.
Beyond that, like I said, the First Order is demonstrably stronger than the Empire. Where did they find all these resources? How did they build anything under the New Republic? How did they get bigger than the Empire, yet they aren't the status quo? In a deleted scene from this film, Leia has to send an envoy to convince the Senate of the New Republic to take action on the First Order.
I need you to go see the Senate right away. Tell them I insist the Republic take action against the First Order.
The First Order that builds a weapon capable of killing billions of people is not the unquestionable power in the galaxy?
They just found out about that. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, they just found out that they were doing that. No one knew that the First Order was building a weapon in a planet. So yes, they don't know yet. That's why Leia sends that message to them. Like, I think it's very clear that at the time of Force Awakens, like the movie tells you this, or it doesn't really tell you, it just shows you. The Force Awakens is letting you know this is like when the First Order decides to make its big move. They're already known, which is why there's a resistance, but this is when they're deciding to make their big move. That's what the Force Awakens is.
Forget how they built this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the beginning of Force Awakens tells you that the First Order is pretty much the Empire reformed. I don't remember that. I mean, they pretty much are. Yeah, they pretty much are. But they haven't attacked yet actively. Like, they haven't gone to do the big thing the Empire has done.
How insane it is that they have this level of manpower. The New Republic has to be convinced to take action against a group that clearly kills anyone they want, whenever they want. The implausibility of the First Order kneecaps the movie and the trilogy from the start. When your antagonists are cartoon levels of powerful with zero explanation as to how they came to be, it completely trivializes the struggles of your heroes. All because—
No, it doesn't. Like that. Let me continue.
There isn't a more creative way to oppress its characters than just redoing the Empire. The First Order—
It's like what he said. He made a general statement and then made it specific to Star Wars. So he says, hold on, let me go back.
The implausibility of the First Order kneecaps the movie and the trilogy from the start. When your antagonists are cartoon levels of powerful with zero explanation as to how they came to be, it completely trivializes the struggles of your heroes.
So what he just said right there, that applies to episode 4 as well. That right there applies to episode 4 as well. We don't know how they got that strong, right? But that doesn't trivialize the struggles of the heroes. It doesn't at all. The The point of resisting them is they are fucking evil and blowing up planets. They're killing people and blowing planets up. Do you get, like, that's the point in fighting back against them. There's no trivialization here.
All because there isn't a more creative way to oppress its characters than just redoing the Empire. The First Order is only one of many.
Also, this is another thing that doesn't work. He's already said it. They're just redoing the Empire. No, you can't say the First Order is bigger and stronger than the Empire and then say the First Order is just the Empire. No, they aren't. You can't have it both ways. Either the First Order is the Empire or the First Order is much bigger than the Empire. How did the galaxy let them get so strong? Dude, do you know how fucking big the galaxy is? The galaxy is fucking massive, dude. It's fucking massive.
Instances where The Force Awakens fails to integrate a concept from the original trilogy because it would rather copy it than figure out how to properly reinvent it for a fresh take. It should come as no shock that The Force Awakens gleefully created Kylo Ren from the same place of creative bankruptcy.
The character of Kylo Ren was one of the most challenging characters because he sort of embodied what this movie was. It was a new story, a new personality, created from the DNA of what had come before. But because he was the villain, it meant he was in the shadow of Darth Vader. So we embraced Vader. We made our bad guy aware of Vader as he would be living in a post-Vader time and made him the son of Leia Organa and Han Solo.
Kylo Ren is deceptively problematic. He's the only character who benefits from being created as a narrative clone, though the story of The Force Awakens and later films suffer massively because of it. There's nothing wrong with Ben Solo being a troubled young man torn between the two sides of the Force, given the history of his family. His emulation of Vader can even be considered natural. We all resemble our influences when we're first starting out. What The Force Awakens didn't understand is that these traits made him a fundamentally different character than Vader when we were introduced to him, yet Kylo still occupies the same role. Kylo's repeated failures in this movie do plant the seeds for an interesting character, but his incompetence as a villain opens the door for a hero whose strength is difficult to explain. The opposite end on the spectrum of competence in The Force Awakens brings us to Rey. Rey is fine until the film gets overly gratuitous. The idea of a lifelong scavenger not only fits the Star Wars hero archetype, but it also gives Rey autonomy. Her resourcefulness, ability to defend herself, and even being bilingual are not outside the realm of believability. I think these traits alone would have given us a unique protagonist.
Kill your friend.
But this isn't enough. Rey is also a full-blown linguist, a great pilot, a skilled mechanic, and she's not only strong with the Force, she is proficient with it. This is
like, okay, listen to this. Listen to this.
These traits alone would have given us a unique protagonist, but this isn't enough. Rey is also a full-blown linguist.
Full-blown linguist.
A great pilot.
Great pilot.
A skilled mechanic.
Skilled mechanic.
And she's not only strong with the Force, she is proficient with it. This
proficient with the Force. Now, listen. Rey understands Chewbacca. Okay, that's her being a full-blown linguist. She understands Chewbacca. Hold on, what was the other one?
These traits
Real
alone
quick.
would have given us
1
a
second.
unique protagonist, but this isn't enough. Rey is also a full-blown linguist, a great.
She's a full-blown linguist because she understands Chewbacca. She is a great pilot because she maneuvers terrain. She's been going through her entire life. She outmaneuvers people on terrain she's been going through her entire life. She's a great pilot. She's a skilled mechanic for fixing an unknown problem with the Millennium Falcon.
And she's not only strong with the Force, she is proficient with it.
She's proficient with the Force because she uses Force abilities after being shown how to use the abilities. So you would think that in episode 7, the way that it's talked about, that Rey did some crazy shit with the Force. Now let me explain to you what Rey did with the Force episode 7. She used the Jedi mind trick and force pulled a lightsaber. That's it. If you want to really stretch it, she reversed Kylo Ren's like mind reading technique and she used the Force to like guide her in the fight with Kylo Ren at the end. That's all. But Luke, keep in mind, Luke used the Force in A New Hope to make a quantifiable 1 in 1 million shot. But what Rey did was crazy.
This is the problem with Rey and what creates the disconnect between Rey and Luke Skywalker. Rey can't faithfully represent the themes that Luke could because of the differences in her character. Any similarities between them end at the conceptual level, since Rey becomes so overloaded that her triumph becomes an expectation. Rey accomplishes more in one film than Luke did in two, with no feasible explanation besides her parents.
By the way, she says she accomplishes more in one film than Luke does in two. In episode 4, Luke blew the fucking Death Star up. Rey doesn't do anything close to that in episode 7. Rey doesn't do anything close to blowing the Death Star up in episode 7. The Resistance blows up Starkiller Base while she wounds Kylo Ren, who was already wounded.
Passing off their abilities with the Force. There's nothing explaining how she's able to resist Kylo Ren's interrogation and flip it on him, how she knows of mind tricks and how to execute them, and the biggest one of all...
Did you hear that? Hold on. Listen to this.
Feasible explanation besides her parents passing off their abilities with the Force. There's nothing explaining how she's able to resist Kylo Ren's interrogation and flip it on him, how she knows of mind tricks and how to execute them, and the biggest one of all, why Anakin's lightsaber calls to her.
Yeah, okay. We'll ignore that last part for now. There's nothing explaining how she knows of mind tricks. Kylo Ren just did that. Kylo Ren, deadass, just showed her that with the Force, you can get into people's minds. She just got a live demonstration. A live demonstration that you can affect people's minds. And then she tries it on the Stormtrooper. And this is always conveniently ignored. She tries it on the Stormtrooper. It doesn't work. The Stormtrooper walks over to her. Then she tries it again. She locks in. Then she's able to pull it off.
This is why The Force Awakens making its villains still in training but so close to Vader was a huge mistake. Rey's strength is enabled by the movie allowing her to repeatedly beat Kylo Ren at his own game. If your hero is constantly besting your villain, what goal is there for them to overcome? By not making its villain a seasoned veteran that a novice like Rey couldn't possibly beat given her lack of training, The Force Awakens gets away with having an overpowered lead who can only get stronger from here. On a side note, Anakin's lightsaber is arguably the greatest question mark of this trilogy, as they never, through the course of 3 films, try to explain how it ends up in Maz's palace. This is especially egregious because they...
Bro, goes in. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. If she was reading his mind too, maybe she could have seen how to do it. I did not think about that.
Wrote how it did, and then cut it from the film.
In fact, in the original script, you saw the lightsaber falling through space and landing in the ground, and a hand taking it. And you used to have this entire backstory where we learned what happened with the lightsaber, Luke's lightsaber, over the years, and how it ended up finally in the hands of Maz Kanata. All of that became backstory, and in fact is thrown away in one line now in the movie.
Back to Rey, the critiques of her character are only the result of an examination of the rate of her achievements that conflict with virtually every Jedi the series has seen before. The only logical explanation the film alludes to are her parents that abandon her, but their identities are, of course, occluded from the audience as well. Even midi-chlorians would have been better than The Force Awakens creating mystery for the sake of creating mystery. Almost all of the problems The Force Awakens creates for itself and the rest of the trilogy exist because it desperately wants to be A New Hope, but it doesn't care how its new characters don't fit into that story. Nothing demonstrates The Force Awakens' misunderstanding of A New Hope and how to convey its themes better than its mess of a third act. The second act of A New Hope ended with the death of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Its third act ended with the destruction of...
Yes, I like episode 8, Blessed.
Of the Death Star. It's important that these two events were separate, if only for the immediate and obvious reason that the tension of one didn't steal from the other. But more importantly, it put the characters into positions that forced their development. Luke fulfilled his dream of becoming a pilot, and Han Solo proved that he was more than a smuggler for hire. Obi-Wan's death was an integral part of both of these things happening. Luke was a small-town boy who Obi-Wan introduced to the rest of the world. Once Obi-Wan was gone, there was no one left to hold Luke's hand. He's left to face his greatest challenge alone, except he wasn't because he had friends. Because of Obi-Wan's death, Luke became his own man, which wouldn't have been possible if Obi-Wan fighting Vader and Luke taking on the Death Star were happening at the same time. The Force Awakens combines the second act and entirety of the third of A New Hope into one, and while it would be unfair to say that it doesn't benefit at least two of its characters, it is fair to say that it's not nearly as effective overall because of its differences and additions. Playing the mentor is Han Solo. If Finn was the main character of the movie, Han would have played the part well. Han helps Finn navigate the world outside the First Order. After Finn defects, he is dubious, perhaps even cowardly, which is why it's great that he finally confronts his fear of the First Order by taking on Kylo Ren after he kills Han. Kylo, on the other hand, has struggled the entire film with accepting the dark side, and by killing his father, he finally does. So, what's the problem? You have two characters who are exactly the kind of innovation of core Star Wars concepts that the movie needed to be new but familiar, fighting it out in the climax of the film. The problem, obviously, is that Finn isn't the main character. And as all this is happening, the Resistance is flying around trying to take out Starkiller Base. So we know that no one is in immediate danger because if the Resistance succeeds, they will kill Rey, Finn, and Chewbacca. Poe Dameron is unfairly caught in the
Somehow Palpatine returned is episode 9, not 8.
middle of all this. It's not his character that's the problem, it's his place in the final act. Poe doesn't achieve anything we don't already believe him to be capable of. He's clearly an exceptional pilot, and therein lies the problem. The entire battle at Starkiller Base plays second fiddle to what's going on with Rey, Finn, and Kylo because Poe is already a complete character. There's nothing of particular interest in his plight besides...
I took criticism on 8th episode from a YouTuber named Diesel's Patches 20. Yeah, 20 is cool. You could do 20.
The spectacle, which means that there's considerably less investment in this than there was in this. In A New Hope, the characters that needed to grow take part in the last fight, and the ones that did...
I think, so the things he's saying here, the issue is people take this like episode 7 is just a New Hope thing too far. Like, episode 7 is a New Hope in spirit. It's not actually a New Hope. He's like, oh, this plays second fiddle to this. It's not the exact same fucking thing. This is something new. This is something different. It's just similar to A New Hope.
Were on the sidelines, but this would have been difficult to do in The Force Awakens when one of the characters that should have been sidelined is the best pilot in the movie. It's this mistake and making Han Solo the Obi-Wan of the film that spoil the third act. While Han verifies that everything Rey has heard about the Jedi is true, he isn't a Jedi himself, which greatly diminishes his potency in the role of mentor to the point where an entirely new character has to be introduced to articulate the Force to Rey. That means that Han's death isn't directly related to Rey's awakening in the same way that Obi-Wan's was to Luke's. Luke didn't...
Yes, because they're not the same fucking character, dude. Like, this nigga, he just went over how Han was a mentor to Finn, not to Rey. That's why Han's death isn't an awakening for Rey. Finn's injury is because Finn is Rey's friend. This is like, they're not the same. He's talking about, oh, this is doing what episode 4 did, but it's not the same because it's not trying to be. It wants to be A New Hope in spirit, not in actuality.
His computer targeting because he suddenly believed in the Force. He accepted the Force because Obi-Wan asked him to trust him, which had much more impact than Rey remembered.
Miski, after you do the 20, DM me the video.
The Force exists. What does Luke didn't forego his computer targeting because he suddenly believed in the Force. He accepted the Force because Obi-Wan asked him to trust him, which had much more impact than Rey remembering the Force exists. What does Rey really gain from her fight with Kylo? What does she conquer in doing this? Finn faces his fears. Kylo kills his. But what does Rey fear, and how does she interact with it by fighting Kylo? The only thing Rey seems to worry about is returning to Jakku to wait for her parents, but that isn't really addressed by the outcome of this fight, and she was already resolute in returning BB-8 to the Resistance before being kidnapped by Kylo. She fears being alone, as evidenced by Kylo's interrogation of her, but if the end of the film is meant to solve that, it does it poorly by nearly killing her only other friend. In the context of the third act, Rey feels like a third wheel, even though she's the main character.
Hold up. Now, I want y'all to really listen to this.
The Force because Obi-Wan asked him to trust him, which had much more impact than Rey remembering the Force exists. What does Rey really gain from her fight with Kylo? What does she conquer in doing this?
What does Rey conquer in fighting Kylo or beating Kylo? Listen to this.
Finn faces his fears. Kylo kills his.
Finn faces his fears. Kylo kills his.
What does Rey fear, and how does she interact with it by fighting
What does Rey fear?
Kylo? The only thing Rey
and how does she interact with it by fighting Kylo? Listen.
He seems to worry about is returning to Jakku to wait for her parents, but that isn't really addressed by the outcome of this fight, and she was already resolute in returning BB-8 to the Resistance before being kidnapped by Kylo. She fears being alone, as evidenced
She fears being alone.
by Kylo's interrogation of her, but if the end of the film is meant to solve that, it does it poorly by nearly killing her only other friend.
Merely killing her only other friend. That's why she fights Kylo. That's the point. He addresses like, okay, Finn faces his fears, Kylo Ren kills his. What does Rey fear? Oh, she fears being alone. The movie goes over this poorly by nearly killing her friend. That's the reason now that she fights Kylo Ren. Like, that's what she accomplishes.
In the context of the
Like, this is just talking to talk.
third act, Rey feels like a third wheel, even though she's the main character. The Force Awakens laid a poor foundation to build a trilogy off of. Every interesting and well-executed idea it had was sandwiched between an uninspired and confusing attempt to depict some of the early themes of Star Wars. By going about the creation of the film's story in this manner, they established key details that future films couldn't go without incorporating into their own stories. The biggest of these we haven't even talked about, despite it being in the very first minute of the film. Luke Skywalker has vanished. This single sentence crippled the sequel trilogy worse than anything I've talked about so far. All I've critiqued up to this point is only possible because of this line, and while The Force Awakens is certainly to blame for basing the entire story of 3 films off Luke's disappearance, it's The Last Jedi that ruins the trilogy because of what it's forced to do with that setup. For a film that questions the past as much as The Last Jedi, it's such an obliviously derivative film that trying to understand its goals to critique them is another tedious examination of comparisons. In my critique of the 2017 live-action Ghost in the Shell adaptation, I coined the term greatest hits films, which are movies that take the most recognizable aspects of their original work and paste them into theirs without any consideration for narrative cohesion without context. The Last Jedi is undoubtedly a greatest hits film, and for all the flack The Force Awakens justifiably gets for being a poor remake of A New Hope, The Last Jedi is a terrible amalgamation of Revenge of the Sith, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. But this is only a part of why it fails. The Last Jedi had countless...
Okay, Miski, that's just not true. But DM me the video. Appreciate it, Tony. Let me put this on the screen. Now, I'm gonna rip apart this Last Jedi shit too, because the Last Jedi gets a lot of unfair criticism, where niggas just dead ass lying about the film.
This opportunity to write poor remake of A New Hope, The Last Jedi is a terrible amalgamation of Revenge of the Sith, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. But this is only a part of why it fails. The Last Jedi had countless opportunities to mend the issues created by The Force Awakens, and while it's not the fault of the film for being put in that situation to begin with, it still makes almost every single one of those issues worse by either not addressing them, amplifying them, or by betraying its characters. You see the first glimpse of this in the film's opening. I said that in The Force Awakens, the First Order is demonstrably stronger than the Empire. In The Last Jedi, the First Order is demonstrably stronger than the First Order. All of these movies suffer from...
Like, dude, oh my god. This is, like, bro. Why? Oh my god. We just got through going over, okay, the First Order is stronger than the Empire, right? So clearly the First Order has advancements in technology beyond the Empire. Makes sense, it's been 30 years. Now we're complaining that the First Order has gotten stronger since the first movie. Like, which, for one, that's just critiquing his critique. The First Order isn't stronger in Episode 8. They're weaker. They lost Starkiller Base. It's fucking gone. Like, hello? They lost their whole weapon. The difference between the First Order in Episodes 7 and 8 is they're active going against the Resistance because they lost their big weapon.
Bigger is better, where more of an element that we've seen in the past is shown with no regard for its implications or effects on the story. Here is Snoke's mega star destroyer, the Supremacy, in comparison to any spacecraft previously seen in the movies.
So he needed a huge ship.
This is ridiculous. Any tension that the First Order imposed on the story is completely gone when there is seemingly no end to their strength. The last movie didn't explain how any of this was possible, and neither does this one, so the struggles of the characters are always undermined by the thought in the back of your head asking why any of this is happening. Instead of giving an explanation, The Last Jedi doubles down with its absurdity, and that translates to Snoke as well. In The Force Awakens, Snoke is definitely strong with the Force, as proven by his ability to sway Kylo Ren to the dark side, but he is also visibly frail and obviously disabled. It's unclear how J.J. Abrams was going to further incorporate Snoke into the story, but Rian Johnson clearly had different plans because Snoke underwent a visual redesign under his request.
Rian said to me very early on, I want to ground him back in reality. I want him to be a character that the other characters in the film can actually respond to and actually relate to. Ryan eventually came to me and quite honestly said, it's not quite feeling.
Snoke is ugly as shit.
Actually didn't feel as much of a threat as he wanted him to. He felt like his deformity was too debilitating.
Ryan and I sat down and we were thinking about what we could do, and we came up with the idea to open his chest up. We gave him broader, heavier set shoulders.
And we also scaled him up in the process. We took him another half a foot taller.
By grounding Snoke and making him a character that everyone else can believably interact with, the film creates the perception that Snoke is the strongest Force user ever seen.
Like, do you hear, like, the strongest Force user ever seen? Dude. Why? How?
Each time it idiotically shows him using his abilities, it only serves to create further intrigue into Snoke's origins, because we know you can't become a master at any of these things in a short period of time. Because of how
Dude, he's had 30 years. He's had 30 years to get good at this shit.
nonchalantly the film presents Snoke's power, the film raises the expectation of an explanation, even if it wasn't responsible for Snoke's existence. With that said, Snoke's appearance marks the only thing I feel The Last Jedi does well: his interaction with Kylo Ren. Kylo needed to move on from Vader's identity. It serves its purpose in The Force Awakens, but to keep this aspect of the character around when they've clearly...
That's exactly how Redman looks.
By chastising Ren for his failure and rightfully pointing out that he's no Vader, Snoke pushes Kylo to discard his ties to him. The destruction of the helmet is not only in character, but also the only intelligent way the film pushes past the past. The rest of the film either does not understand the past or intentionally misrepresents it in order to deconstruct and critique the themes of the films it's copying. Luke's isolation, Rey's training, and Snoke's death are all things we've seen before. The issue is the same as it was in The Force Awakens. You cannot put new characters into identical situations as old characters, because the context will never match. In the case of The Last Jedi, that means new motivations don't make sense, because they were forced in order to match the circumstances of the original situations. Luke Skywalker is the Yoda of this film. The Last Jedi's desecration of Luke stems directly from a misunderstanding of Yoda's character and his circumstances.
Into exile. I must go. Failed, I have.
At the end of Revenge of the Sith, the Jedi were soundly defeated by Darth Sidious. Yoda failed not only to stop
Snoke was like withered E.T. He kinda does.
Sidious, but to even see him in his midst. If anyone should have been critical of the arrogance of the Jedi, it would have been him. So why isn't he in Empire Strikes Back? While George Lucas likely did not think that far when Empire script was being drafted, Yoda's reasoning is still clear in both Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith. His exile to Dagobah is not out of shame. It's for Luke and Leia. Because he failed to destroy Sidious, he must exile himself until he can help train them to defeat Vader and the Emperor. He and Obi-Wan agree that they will disappear until the time is right. Yoda clearly feels great lament for the fallen Jedi, but it doesn't preclude him.
I'm not giving Yoda this. Yoda deadass was fighting Palpatine properly. He made the first like advancement on Palpatine in the whole fight when he was absorbing his Force lightning. He got pushed, fell down, said, "I failed, I gotta go into exile." That was fucking ass.
From his duty, nor does it cause him to sever his connection to the Force. And why would it? The Jedi aren't responsible for the actions of the lunatic who sought to kill them. Yes, the Jedi failed, but if the Jedi didn't exist, there would be no one to combat the Sith or the Empire. The reason Yoda goes into exile is because he can't die before he trains either of the Skywalker children. If he stayed in the open, he surely would have been killed, given Sidious's power and reach. The Last Jedi not understanding the characters of previous films is so utterly disastrous because it then projects this misconception of them onto its own characters. In this case, projecting what it thinks Yoda should have felt and behaved like on Dagobah onto Luke. This is not Luke.
Like, do you see these crazy assumptions in order to make the film seem worse? Like, he's like, Luke, they want Luke to be like Yoda in the original trilogy. But because they want Luke to be that way, they misunderstand Yoda, so Luke isn't that way. Maybe they just don't want Luke to be the same as Yoda. No, I don't think Windu survived. Appreciate it too, though.
This is Yoda if your interpretation of Yoda is that he's a failure who got all the Jedi killed.
The greatest teacher.
No, it's not Yoda. It's Luke.
From there, it's easy to see why Luke's behavior in this film is so jarring and inconsistent with the Luke Skywalker we see in the original trilogy. Luke's actions make a lot more sense if you consider that this Luke is written to have knowledge and retrospect entirely irrelevant to him, almost as if it's what the filmmaker thinks the Jedi are versus what Luke thinks the Jedi are. Luke in this film is nothing but a mouthpiece for a commentary that doesn't fully understand what it's critiquing. Even the dialogue is reductive and almost fourth wall breaking, which doesn't sound anything like Luke.
You don't need Luke Skywalker.
Did you hear a word I just said?
You think what? I'm gonna walk out with a laser sword and face down the whole First Order?
Luke was the one character who always believed. From manually landing the shot into the exhaust port on the Death Star, to saving Han and Leia from Vader, and then finally turning Vader back to the light. To even have him doubt his ability to bring Ben Solo back into the light is already tremendously out of character.
Like, I already went over this earlier. Kylo didn't have the good in him. He didn't have it. That's why Luke, reaching into Kylo's mind, showed him that the only thing that's gonna happen with this nigga is he's about to fucking destroy everything. That is the difference. He had no good in him. Snoke already turned him. He was fucked. Kylo has good in him later he has good in him. He literally talks about it, how the light side is pulling him back. But Luke says in this scene, Kylo does not have the good in him. And episode 8 literally goes out of its way to show you that Kylo is going down the path of not having any of the good in him. It starts with Kylo being conflicted. Snoke literally tells him that. It starts with Kylo being conflicted, with him, wait, I just lost my train of thought. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, it starts with Kylo being conflicted. Snoke says that Kylo killing his dad split him to the bone in terms of the Force, where now he wants to be good, he wants to be bad. Then it doubles down on Kylo wanting to be bad by having him kill Snoke, and then his decision immediately afterwards is not to join Rey, it's to want to be in control of the galaxy himself and take Snoke's place. Why can't Luke be wrong? Wrong about what? Reaching into Kylo's mind? Even if Luke is wrong, the point is Kylo, he saw that. He only saw that. He only saw bad. Luke being wrong doesn't fucking matter. Like, even if you think Kylo has a little bit of good in him, which he fucking doesn't, even if you think Kylo has a little bit of good in him, Luke only sensed bad. Luke only saw that because that's what he was looking for. The movie never tells you that. That's an extrapolation you made completely independent of the movie. If you really think that, then Luke should have tried to save the Emperor as well, but he didn't, because that's not how it works. Read between the lines? I'm able to read between the lines. There's nothing to read between these lines, though. This is making shit up between the lines. I'm not cooking because you made some shit up. I'm like, literally, hold up. The movie tells you something. You say, oh, this isn't true because of this, which the movie doesn't tell you, and say the movie contradicts itself based on what it doesn't tell you. That doesn't make any sense. You can't say I'm the one that's not cooking. You're making shit up, saying the movie's trying to say it and saying it doesn't make sense. They don't say that. What? They made him do things he wouldn't do originally. I disagree. I disagree that they made Luke do things he wouldn't do originally. We never saw Luke in this type of situation to say that he would never do this. Luke has never been to the low point that happened at. We are shown Kylo has good in him later, nigga. Later, we are shown Kylo Ren has good in him. This movie doubles down on the fact that he has the bad. He wants to be on the bad side. And it pushes him all the way in that direction. At the time, Kylo did not have the good in him. Yes, that's in episode 7. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying later in his life. Later in his life is what I'm talking about. No, I don't want to count the comics. The comics were written after this. Like, that's obviously, that's not Ryan Johnson writing that. How does Snoke turn Kylo so easily? I don't know. Maybe he was just like naturally predisposed to the dark side or some shit. Like, the movie is literally telling you, like, Kylo's bad. And then in episode 7, Kylo's like, I feel the light side pulling me back. Show me how to go back to the dark. When he's talking to Vader's mask. And then, he feels the light side pulling him. That's why he decides to kill Han. That conflicts him even more. And then in episode 8, he doubles down on the dark side to keep going. The point is that Luke was wrong. Luke was wrong in his decision to try to kill Kylo, not that he was completely bad. Because even if he's completely bad now, he can have good in him later. That's what he was wrong about. He wasn't wrong about in the moment Kylo Ren had good in him. No. He could sense the good in Vader. So he could sense the good in Ben if it was there. It was not there. That was the issue. Palpatine can have good in him later. So why didn't he try to save Palpatine? That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. That's the issue. The issue is they can have good in them later. They can have good in them later. That's why he didn't try to save Palpatine. And that's why in the moment he was going to kill Kylo Ren as well. But the difference is Palpatine is a fully fledged fucking Sith Lord blowing up planets. Kylo Ren is a sleeping kid. Regardless of Luke's feelings, trying to kill your nephew while he's sleeping is pretty fucked up. Let me pull up Miski's video now. That way I don't get too lost with this one. All right, this video is only 20 minutes.
Kind of on a Disney ramp.
By the way, this is not to say that like episode 8 is like all good, by the way. The subplot for episode 8 is ass. Yeah, and that's what Luke thought in the moment, Blessed. So he thinks, okay, he's a sleeping kid with all this dark in him. And then Luke tries to kill him. That was the fuck up. He can change, and Luke didn't give him the opportunity. He literally says in the moment, like, oh, Snoke already turned him. The mistake was in thinking that. Giving him the opportunity, got entire planets blown up. With their explanation, Luke made the wrong call not killing Kylo. No. Oh my fucking God. He made the wrong call in igniting his lightsaber that night because that caused Kylo to run away and then go over to blow up all those planets. The right thing to do would have been to walk out of the room and then try to coach him back to the light after seeing all that dark in him. But yes, once he ignited the saber, I guess you're right. The right thing to do would have been to just strike Kylo Ren down right then and there. But that probably would have fucked Luke up mentally as well. He would have fallen the moment he woke up. No, it's momentary. It's momentary. The scene is literally telling you that. Like those feelings can be momentary. Like you're trying to take some like ridiculous interpretation of the scene and being ridiculously uncharitable. Few minutes, few hours, we don't know. The point is Luke never let him evolve past that. That was the issue. He literally reinforced it. Like Kylo Ren's having all these evil thoughts and then he wakes up and his uncle's holding a lightsaber over his head. Let me stop responding to this nigga. He's not getting it.
By talking about 2 MCU movies and then going over to Star Wars. I know people have reviewed all these movies, but
Why is this
still want to get my...
Why is this video in such ass quality? Doesn't matter. I'll up the playback speed.
intake. Yes, so I'll be talking about the worst Star Wars movie ever created. Yes, even worse than these. Give episode 1 and 2 some credit. They at least felt like Star Wars movies. And the Christmas episode is so bad it's laughable, while The Last Jedi is just painfully bad. The only aspect I can applaud for The Last Jedi is having incredible special effects, but that should just be a given. Special effects are icing on the cake. It should not be in the main spotlight. It should not be the main reason for you to go see a movie. But without further ado, this is The Last Jedi. So the movie begins like any other typical Star Wars movie, with rebels fighting the Empire, and
Are you talking about at the end of episode 4 goes in, or are you talking about in the Obi-Wan show? I mean, either way, I kind of think you're right.
we see a friendly face, Poe, from The Force Awakens. He plans to blow up the Dreadnought despite that mission going against orders, but not before he delivers a wacky and fun prank call.
This is Hux. You and your friends are doomed. We will wipe your filth from the galaxy.
Okay, I'll hold.
Hello?
Hello? Yep, still here.
Now, I do believe it was at this point I realized that the script for this movie is going to be utter garbage. Now, Star Wars movies usually have cringe-inducing dialogue, but not as forced as this. See, this movie's trying to be MCU movies where they include comedic scenes to kind of show that they're not taking themselves too seriously in the movies. Now, that doesn't really work with Star Wars because it's a lot darker than MCU movies. Not to say this movie shouldn't try and be funny, but it should have comedic routines where it kind of fits in the universe. I never thought I'd hear a Your Mama joke in a Star Wars movie, but now I have, and it kind of fucking pisses me off.
How do you respond to shit like this, bro? This nigga got mad over a Yo Mama joke. How do I respond to someone like that? This is unreasonable hate. What am I supposed to say?
I believe he's tooling with you, sir.
About his mother.
So the Dreadnought gets destroyed, and then we see Finn from The Force Awakens wake up. So we then cut to Rey handing Luke his lightsaber like we saw in the last movie, but Luke throws a lightsaber over his back, and a subverting expectation memes start. Listen, I am all for unexpectedness, because it has potential to create originality, but not when it's out of character. Besides Last Jedi, another example of this concept being used horribly is the movie Devil by M. Night Shyamalan. 5 people are in an elevator, and it seems one of them is the devil, killing each and every other person in the elevator. And it turns out the devil is the old lady. No one expected this to happen, but that doesn't automatically make it good writing. There was no foreshadowing, there's nothing building up to this. Just because we don't see it coming doesn't make it automatically good. I mean, Luke could whip out his dick and reveal a second lightsaber. That doesn't make it good writing just because I didn't expect it to happen. It'd be really fucking funny, but still bad. Luke throwing the lightsaber is there for a cheap gag. It's out of character and it's only there for being a joke. That's incredibly insulting to the character.
Where did you find that?
Long story, we'll tell you on the Falcon.
Falcon. Wait. Where's Han?
Really? Instead of showing Luke having an emotional reaction, you just jump to the next scene? Sure, why not? It was only his best friend. His dad doesn't mean shit. No, instead we have to focus more screen time on nameless Asians and Ewok turds.
Take that ridiculous thing off. You're just a child. In a mask.
Aren't you the one who picked that mask? Aren't you the one who chose this child? I think your anger is pointed in the wrong direction. You're the dumbass who made all those dumbass choices. Now, many people may hate this scene because it's completely pointless and utterly disgusting. And it also
Yeah, that shit was gross.
Death, his best friend. But this is actually very powerful symbolism. See, Luke is Disney as a corporation, the milk represents flowing cash, and that fat fuck is the Star Wars franchise. Rian Johnson is a genius. So we cut back to the Resistance being followed by the Empire. The Empire blows up the main hangar, and of course, only the main characters survive. So they just now turn on the ray shield only after the main hangar blew up. And Kylo debates whether or not he should kill his own mother. So Superwoman flies back to the ship, and this raises a lot of questions. Not Leia having the Force. No, these flaws are so big, it doesn't matter that this new discovery is happening in this movie. Let's see, how did she wake up? How did she not suffocate in the abyss of space? How did the rest of the group not get sucked into space when they opened the door to let Leia inside the ship? Well, just like how retard Johnson constantly fiddles with who Rey's parents are, we get no fucking answers. One piece of fan service later, and Luke decides he should train Rey.
Is it? Hold up. I had to check something just really quickly. Hold up. Really quick, I had to make sure of something. Movies, Star Wars, sequels. So 8. 1 second. Where did they blow up that part of the ship? Earlier in the movie, right? Here it is. I mean, 1 second. I just need to make sure that this didn't happen. You turn the volume of the video up? Yeah, I'll turn it up in a second. Hold up. I'm trying to make sure of something real quick before I call this nigga retarded. Yeah, there's a second door. There's a second door. So whenever the team lets Leia in, there's a second door. I guess, what do you call it? I think an airlock. There's a second door that's why they didn't get sucked out into space.
Admiral Akbar, all our leadership.
Now, this may be a crazy idea, but maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't have all of your vital soldiers in one area on the ship. Especially not in an area not protected by the ray shields. Dumbasses. We're then introduced to Admiral Hodor, or Holdo, whatever the fuck her name is, who likes to fight...
Why does this keep flashing on the screen?
She's a snarky, strong, independent woman who needs no man in her life.
Captain, Commander, you can call me whatever you like. I just want to know what's going on.
Of course you do. I understand. I've dealt with plenty of trigger-happy flyboys like you.
Or maybe she's just a bitch. I mean, all your subordinate did was ask a very simple and reasonable question, and you responded in a very childish manner. Yeah, so she's supposed to be a famous admiral. Yeah, okay. Also, great job on the editing, guys. I can totally tell that wasn't an ad-lib dub.
I've dealt with plenty of trigger-happy flyboys like you.
We are then introduced to the worst character in all of fiction, Rose. I fucking hate Rose. So Rose gets butthurt that her sister's dead, and then she gets butthurt when she sees Flynn flee from the ship. Hey, does anyone else remember in Empire Strikes Back when Han Solo had the option to lead the Resistance? Because of his heroic actions, do the same rules not apply to Finn? And here we also have really bad editing. The first
that's not this. What? This isn't Leia.
Shock, we see a blue light and Finn bending over, and right after he's standing up straight, and there's no blue light. Great job on the editing, guys.
Is it because I'm black?
Alright, so Finn and Rose figure out that there's some sort of code breaker that can help them defeat Snoke's ship, so they ask this orange turd for some help.
It's fine. It sounds like this code breaker fella can do everything.
Oh, yes, he can.
Thank you, movie, for putting the image of this little orange shit having sex. Go fuck yourself. As Luke continues to train Rey, we get a bit of foreshadowing that Rey might be turning towards the dark side. Remember this scene. Alright, so we get a bunch of scenes of Rey and Kylo being connected with each other through the Force. And to give this movie some credit, Adam Driver is probably the best actor in this film. Oh, don't get me wrong, the character is written horribly, but Adam Driver is actually trying to make this a good character. Unfortunately, he was given a horrible script, so he's got to work with what he's got. I would give the award of best actor in this film to Mark Hamill, but he clearly does not give a shit.
Who is this guy? How did the most optimistic, hopeful character in the galaxy turn into this hermit?
Bro, this is what I was talking about earlier on, I was talking about Mark Hamill bitching about Luke. Like, what do you mean, how did he turn into the hermit? Did you read the script, nigga? Read the fucking script. It tells you why he turned into that fucking hermit.
who says it's time for the Jedi to end. I read that and I said, what? No matter how this comes out, if I'm wonderful, it's because of him. And if it's terrible, it's also his fault.
Oh, I didn't know that, Blessed.
He's badmouthed this movie enough for me to be convinced that he didn't put any effort into this trash film. He didn't want to. Can't really blame him, honestly, but at least I get some enjoyment from seeing Adam Driver act like a young Alan Rickman. That's pretty much all this garbage movie has to offer.
Okay, we get in, we find this codebreaker, we get out.
You know this town? Canto Bight?
From stories.
It's a terrible place filled with the worst people in the galaxy.
Great.
Now, to be fair, this subplot for episode 8 was ass. So I'm not really going to have much
Real
to say
subtle,
here.
Disney. I can't be the only one who finds it pretty ironic that a multi-billionaire corporation is telling me that rich people are the devil.
Here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Aren't you guys just thrilled that this scene made it in the movie? I'm pretty sure without it, the story would be nothing. So Rose babbles about how slavery is bad and how war is bad. Yet another necessary scene to the plot.
Oh, yes.
This place is great.
Okay.
I should show that black man how painful slavery can truly be. Wait. So while Rey flings her lightsaber around like some goddamn 2-year-old with Tourette's, she accidentally knocks over the supplies of the aliens who live on the island. Well, this calls for an apology, or you could just be a huge bitch and ignore them. Finn and Rose get locked up and coincidentally meet another codebreaker in the cell, and they make their escape.
Bro, this is the funny thing, bro. Like, niggas love to do this. Niggas love to do this. They do this all the time in order to randomly justify hate.
Island.
Watch.
Well, this calls for an apology, or you could just be a huge bitch and ignore.
You could be a huge bitch and ignore them. Nigga, you don't care about those little fucking fish. Those fucking fish people who lost their supplies. You don't care about those people. You don't care that Rey didn't apologize to those people. I'm not believing that, bro. No, you didn't.
Finn and Rose get locked up and coincidentally meet another codebreaker in the cell, and they make their escape.
Yeah, man.
Wow, these must be the worst guards ever. First, the guard gets overpowered by coins, despite having a gun in his hand, and his helmet can't protect him from a rubber boot. The richest planet in the galaxy, and they can't even afford competent guards. So Finn and Rose escape while causing thousands of dollars in damage, and you might think that's a good thing because these two are sticking it back to the rich, but allow me to give you a moment to realize who has to clean up that mess.
Your parents threw you away like garbage.
They didn't.
They did, but you can't stop needing them. It's your greatest weekends. Looking for them everywhere. In Han Solo, now in Skywalker.
What? There have been like zero signs of Rey seeing Han and Luke as father figures. And how is that a weakness? The Resistance needed Han, and now they needed Luke. So it's not like her selfishness is getting in the way of the Rebels' goals, unlike a certain someone else. Anyways, Kylo reveals that Luke tried to kill him, and Luke justifies this because he sensed evil in Kylo. Yep, the guy who saw good in the most evil man in the galaxy's first reaction is, I'm gonna kill this kid because he might be dangerous. Good one.
Bro, like that is so fucking disingenuous. That is the most disingenuous, widespread criticism ever. They boil it down so simply. Oh, he saw good in him. Why didn't he see good in him? Because it wasn't fucking there. That's why.
Johnson. So Ghost Yoda shows up and uses the Force to blow up old Jedi texts in history. Yep, dead Jedi can use the Force now. And the movie shows no limitation, so I'm gonna have to assume he's invincible. Might as well just throw him up in space and destroy Snoke's ship. I don't see why the fuck not.
Yes. Wisdom they held, but that library contained nothing that the girl Rey does not already possess.
Actually, she doesn't. Rey doesn't know shit about the wise teachings of Jedi. Alright, so Yoda's main moral here is that failure is the best teacher. Fine, but why is he telling this to Luke? Out of everyone there, he should know this. He failed countless times in the original trilogy and still got up. So yes, Luke is learning the same lesson he learns in the original trilogy. Basically, you're watching—
Dude. Oh my god. Luke does not ever fail on the level of how he fails in the sequels. He never fails on that level. He created Darth Vader 2, and the Jedi Order that he created got nuked by Darth Vader 2. Luke's failures in the first film were like a result of him being overpowered. This wasn't a result of him being overpowered. This was his mistakes.
a watered-down version of good movies, and people always claim this movie did something different. Luke is learning the same shit he already knows. This whole fucking scene is pointless. Next thing we cut to the Codebreaker telling Finn and dipshit McGee that not all rebels are good guys. In fact, they might be just as bad as the Empire at some points. You know, for some reason, this moral sounds very familiar. Oh yeah, we saw this in Rogue One. God damn it, can this movie produce at least one original idea?
Tell us that we have a plan.
that there's hope.
When I served under Leia, she
Lady,
would
shut the
say,
fuck up. He's not even asking whether you should explain your plan or not. He just wants to know if there even is one. How the hell is this person Admiral? She's incredibly incompetent.
Abandoning ship? That's what you got? That's what you brought us to? Coward!
No, wait. I want to see how hammy this performance can get.
No, you are not just a coward. You are a traitor.
Get this man off my bridge.
Did anyone else just get may I speak to your manager vibes from her? Shockingly enough, this leads Poe to start a mutiny. Finn and Rose get aboard the Dreadnought, and Rey gets captured by Kylo. But then Brienne of Tarth captures Rose and Finn, which means they failed to stop the Dreadnought, which also means the entire casino plot was 100% pointless. Well, not the first time this movie showed me a bunch of pointless shit, so why should I be disappointed? Leia wakes up, Poe gets knocked out, and Horde Dars is in charge again.
Now, time to board your transport.
For the transports to escape, someone needs to stay behind to pilot the cruiser.
Well, that's true. I mean, a handy-dandy droid would be a good choice for the...
May the Force be with you, always.
Or you could just kill yourself. Oh, why am I complaining? I have no objections to this.
Holdo knew the First Order was tracking our big ship. They're not monitoring for the transports. She was more interested in protecting the light than she was seeming like a hero.
Okay, I know this movie's trying to develop Poe, but you failed massively. Withdrawing information from your subordinates isn't heroic. She had absolutely no reason to hide her plans from anyone. Surprise, surprise, a codebreaker is a traitor, and he decides to backstab the Resistance. And unfortunately, this hinders Holdo's retarded plan.
I cannot be betrayed. I cannot be beaten. I see his mind. I see his...
Should I respond to that? Should I respond to that? I think so. Look, Poe was really mad earlier that he wasn't in the know whenever it came to Holdo. Like, Holdo wouldn't tell him what was going on. He was extremely upset about it. So hiding the intentions from Poe shows her that even though he doesn't know what's going on, the people are still making good decisions. So like Holdo doesn't tell him, or they don't tell him that Holdo's staying behind. That way she can ram into the other ships at light speed and kill herself. He has to find that out later, afterwards. Do you fuck with Phasma? Phasma's like nothing, honestly.
Every intent.
Mary Sue and Emo fuck join forces and we get a fight scene almost on par.
Oh lord, fucking Mary Sue.
With Black Panther's final fight scene. The fact that Snoke's henchmen are putting up a better fight than Snoke himself is pretty sad. Honestly, there's an entire video on why this scene is
Snoke got off guarded.
So surprise, surprise, Rey says no. The one time I wanted this movie to subvert my expectations, it goes a cliched route of good guy resists dark side. Remember that scene I told you to remember? Well, that scene was...
He's complaining that the good character in Star Wars resisted the dark side. Holy shit.
Supposed to be built up and foreshadowing for this scene to show Rey does have temptations, and they just completely ignore it. Outrageous.
Yes, she has temptations that she does not give in to. You should not give in to the temptations of the dark side. You fuckhead. Why would you complain about this? Why?
So Holdo sacrifices her life, and we're supposed to be sad, I guess. But unfortunately, her act of sacrificing her life has actually saved Rose from execution, so now I hate Holdo even more. Thankfully, Brienne of Tarth comes in, and these idiots are at gunpoint. Now all she has to do is shoot Rose, and she'll be fucking dead. Fucking goddamn it. You are so lame. This has got to be the most worthless character in all of fiction. So Finn fights Phasm, even though the Stormtrooper in the turret could easily shoot Finn. That's because this is a battle of honor, you idiot. Yeah, that's why the Stormtrooper right here comes up and tries to kill Finn, so I don't think that's the case.
You're a blockade in the system. Let's go, Chromedome.
So Gwendolyn Christie gets wasted as an actress, but she's honestly too good for this movie, so whatever. So we hear two actors say what happened.
What happened? What happened?
Beautiful screenwriting. Finn and Rose meet back with the Resistance. They find out the Imperials are loading up a cannon to break down the fortress's door and decide to fight back.
Salt.
I'm just here to remind the audience that this isn't hot, even though the whole damn scene looks like a shot-for-shot remake. Also, how useful are ground troopers going to be against the ships? Not very, I'd assume.
Rose, you got three right behind you!
Well, would you look at that? We might actually get a happy ending after all.
I can't lose them!
God damn it.
Woo! I like this!
Woohoo, I just went through emotional trauma, but because I'm a strong woman, I can easily forget about all that and shoot evil Nazi troopers with perfect aim. After Mary Sue giggles about her perfection, we get one of the worst.
Like, what is this? What trauma did she just go through? She didn't go through trauma. She had a fucking sad moment. Dude, what?
Worst cinematic scenes I have ever seen. Finn is about to go out like a badass. After completing his character arc, he's going to sacrifice his life to save the Resistance, thus concluding a perfect send-off for this character. Well, naturally, this movie hates good ideas, so they have Rose save Finn and doom the Resistance.
Dude, sacrificing yourself is not what? The fact he's willing to sacrifice himself is cool, but sacrificing yourself is not what you do here. Finn is useful to the Resistance. Yes, you're willing to fight. Good job. Don't kill yourself, buddy.
Unbelievable. I mean, the opportunity was literally gift wrapped for you. Why make the stupidest choice you could make?
I saved you. Tell me. That's how we're gonna win. Not fighting what we hate.
What type of lesson is that? Oh, yes. Be willing to fight against your oppressors. And just kill yourself, too.
Saving what we love.
Yeah, I'm sure the power of love is also going to be super useful against a giant fucking laser cannon. By the way, were you saving what you loved by shooting at Imperial soldiers in the hangar bay? You guys have no idea how much I loathe this character.
I don't get that point.
Alright, I'm wrapping it up. Luke comes out of fucking nowhere. Rey lifts a bunch of rocks without any training. Hell, she even knows—
Luke comes out of nowhere. Oh my god!
The Force was till hours ago, but now she can use it better than anyone else. With one hand, no less. Luke dies like—
Earlier in the movie, whenever Rey and Kylo first connect, Kylo's like, how are you doing this? Like, now you can't be doing this. If you were doing what you're doing right now, projecting yourself here, it would fucking kill you. And then Luke does that later. He literally does exactly what he's talking about later. He projects himself across the fucking galaxy and it kills him.
a fucking idiot. Yeah, that's how I want the main character from the original trilogy to die. Sitting on his fat ass doing nothing. So—
doing nothing. He just created the escape route for the Resistance. The whole point of the scene, Luke was literally thinking, yes, the Jedi needs to fucking end, which he says is stupid. Then, at the end of the movie, Luke says, no, the Jedi don't need to end. I'm not the last Jedi. Obviously, Rey is. And now he's like, oh, he's doing nothing. He's doing exactly what you wanted him to do.
For whatever reason, everyone's like celebrating and super happy, even though they just lost 99% of their forces. You would think this would have more of a Empire Strikes Back type of ending. Whatever, at least Rose is dead. Oh, god damn it. Didn't this dumb bimbo nearly jeopardize the mission? Why are you bringing her along? Alright, credits roll, the movie's over, it's done. I'm done. This movie fucking sucks. I'm not doing a
Fuck that video. Anyway, 3 hours is crazy. Goodbye.